to the east. I'd say probably 5, 6 miles east-northeast of Isabella. It's right along. It's just southeast of where 58 curves the northeast, north of Isabella toward Enid. So this thing has turned to the right, and this new circulation is a lot thicker. It's a lot better organized than the last one, and that last circulation did produce a tornado. So wouldn't be surprised if this one does it again here in a few minutes.
Okay, Reed, appreciate that. It's this storm right here southwest of Lahoma. So you folks in Lahoma, tornado safety precautions just produced another tornado. They've been weak, but they've been tornadoes here, a couple of them at least. Northwest of Ames now heading right for Lahoma. Okay, so we're talking about a different part of the state here. To the west of Enid, about 75 miles, 80 miles northwest of downtown Oklahoma City. And it's going into northwestern Garfield County, out of eastern sections of Major County. So you folks in Lahoma and Ringwood, tornado safety precautions for sure. Highway 412 as well, west of Enid. And then from there, it may affect Enid, might affect Kremlin, Hillsdale, Carrier up here in Garfield County. But this has produced multiple, probably weak tornadoes. But Reed just had another one less than 5 minutes ago. Now, let's go back to the storm tracker and let's talk about this storm down here in between here and Chickasha. Low-level lock, still an impressive hook. So a tornado still possible at any time. Again, red line, center line for Bridge Creek, and then there, Newcastle. Let's go over to Mark Dillard looking right at that. Mark?
Yes, Mike, still trying to head on over toward the H.E. Bailey spur connector for Norman here. Camera on it. We're going to stop and kind of get a better look at this thing. Mike, honestly, it's become a little bit elongated as far as the circulation center is concerned to me. Not to say that it probably still has a good signature on radar. It just doesn't have its act together at the base like we would expect with an imminent tornado situation. So maybe we can get it to just go ahead and basically work itself out and dissipate. But we're still going to be right here watching it. We're along the I-44 corridor. I'm just back to the east of Amber, about, let's see, we're about 4 miles. Back to you.
1 mile northwest of the Bailey, and it's very close to producing tornadic activity right now. I mean, really, really, really close. So let's stay here with Mark Dillard's stream. Let's go to the South Dop here. You folks in Bridge Creek, yeah, that's really close. It's right here, 1 mile northwest of the Bailey. Geographically, it's the same track. It's not the same intensity, but the same track as May 3rd. So it may actually graze the Bailey, and that's really close to setting down a tornado right now. And it's pretty intense. I mean, you know, it might be something like an F2 type tornado. Let's go back to Mark Dillard's stream. I think it's on the ground right now. It sure looks like it. 1 mile northwest of the Bailey. Mark, I think that's on the ground right now.
It absolutely is on the ground, Mike. It's right here in front of me.
This is strong.
Coming down to the ground
yeah,
right
there
now.
it is. Look at that. This is pretty strong, folks. This is a stronger tornado here. What it's doing is it's folding in on itself, and that's a significant tornado. That could be an F2. That could be an F2. Look at it. Look at it spin. Marks on it on point-blank range. That could be an F2. It wouldn't be impossible for it to be on the high side of an F2. You know, so you're talking about you really got to be in your safest spot. You know, mobile homes are not safe. You got to be in that tiny interior closet or bathroom, hopefully storm cellar or basement. You know, if you've got one, if you're in Bridge Creek and you know someone across the street that's got one, go there. Go there. This could be an F2. Might even be on the high side of an F2. It looked like it was perhaps even multi-vortex, and it's right here southwest of Bridge Creek. It is red line, center line for Bridge Creek. Go, Mark Dillard.
Yes, Mike, multi-vortex. It's having a problem maybe connecting all the way down to the ground, but as you were saying, it's turning over onto itself. And as I just spoke, what I meant by elongated was it's getting stretched out, and now that area that was stretched out turned over on itself and came all the way almost down to the ground. So it's still cruising along here. I'm about 5 to the east of Amber now, but again, Mike, no well-defined funnel, but multi-vortex situation where it could be intermittently in contact with the ground.
Yeah.
I'm actually having to back down the road to where I'm getting turned around, Mike. I'm going to have to let you go and get out ahead of it again. It's about to overtake me. Back to you.
Okay, see if we can just kind of back out with it. Mark's real close. He's actually physically backing out of it. This is a multi-vortex tornado. Could be an F2, might even be approaching F3. I think this is probably the strongest tornado of the day so far. Let's go to Emily Sutton. She's on our Gentner down here. She's also looking at it. Emily Sutton here is our getting her down here in the Storm Center control room. Let's talk to Emily. Go, Emily.
Hi, Mike. We are on the H.E. Bailey Turnpike. We are heading south on I-44. You have a direct view of it, and we have actually watched it briefly touch the ground and lift back up. We have a clear view of it right now. We passed the Norman exit not too long ago, and we're heading south. Is it going to cross in front of us?
Yes, it's heading directly for Bridge Creek, and it may actually approach or even go over the Bailey. It's 1 mile northwest of the Bailey. Bailey makes a small jog to the north. Whose stream is that?
That should be Mike, and we're watching it. Rapid rotation. Big inflow. We've watched it touch down a few times from the distance, and now you're getting a clear shot of it.
Emily, stay with us on the Gentner. We have simultaneous tornadoes. This is Mike Bennett's stream right here. This is up there by Ringwood, southwest of Lahoma. You saw a tornado just come down. That's a different storm, but that's from Mike Bennett. We're going to go to Mike Bennett momentarily, if you want to hold that. But look at this. This is a significant hook here, and I think saying it's an F2 to potentially an F3, that's not a big stretch at this point. And what's troublesome about this is it's going to wind up perhaps going right over the Bailey Turnpike. As we've said many, many times over the past half hour to 45 minutes, the Bailey Turnpike is not a good idea, and it is not. Not only is there tennis balls, look at the purple and the white, look how the sink drain effect is taking hold. The sink drain effect, that was the multi-vortex suction spot action spinning down to the ground. The sink drain effect, and that is that more of an upper end type F2, F3 type tornado. Let's hope it doesn't get any stronger than that. Let's go back to Mark Dillard looking at it here live from point blank range. Mark?
Yes, Mike, very reminiscent of the large tornadoes that I've seen. It will have this large area of circulation, put down these suction vortices that turn rapidly around, almost like I equate it to a carousel effect, where the fingers or the funnels will come down, swirl around the center of the circulation, and at times it'll spin out, but at times it will localize and fill in, and that's indicative of a large-scale wedge-type tornadoes that we've seen before in the past. And, I hate to equate anything to May 3rd, but this is the same area we were in. This is the same kind of action that it had, albeit, Mike, it still does not have the localized support at the base that we would see in that kind of a situation where it's just inflow into it and bam, it stays on the ground for a while. Just not seeing that. In fact, it's starting to lift back up now. Still very strong, broad rotation at the base of the cloud here. Some fingers kind of still coming down, but basically lifting off the ground. Mike, back to you.
You folks in Bridge Creek need to stay in your tornado safe spot. And you don't deviate from there. Stay in your tornado safe spot. Stream us on your phone or just turn the volume up on your TV set. Stay in your tornado safe spot. This is east of Amber, southwest of Bridge Creek. It is heading directly for Bridge Creek. The rotation is still moderate to moderately strong, but the whole thing is kind of lifted in terms of the significantly strong rotation, kind of lifted up and broadened out a little bit. But it's still rotating to the point where it could put down another one of. It could have been an F2 easily. Could have even been an F3 tornado here at any time. Let's go to the South Doppler. Look at the velocities. Again, it is red line, center line for Bridge Creek, which is right here. I'm zoomed way in. This is east of Amber here. The tornado circulation is a mile northwest of the Bailey. Let's go over to max 2, and you'll see the sink drain effect with the hook. And you can also see this is rapid scan Doppler information here. Rapid scan, second by second. Look how the sink drain there kind of went away. This is a 15-minute loop in rapid succession, rapidly scanning through the storm from our south Dopp, which is just a few miles away from it. The sink drain effect, just look at that, it just basically just went away. That was the lifting of the circulation, which may have been an F2, low-end F3, basically just kind of broaden out and start to go away. Is it still on the ground? Let's take a look. Mark Dillard's looking right at it at point-blank range. Mark?
Mike, I don't have anything in contact with the ground, but the area of circulation is so broad, it looks like it's going to try to recycle again. I've got the same situation off to my, this is going to be off to my, I believe it's going to be off to my north and west a hair. I've got lifting scud working back in. It'll focalize, it'll become a focal point and then turn over on itself and almost come all the way down to the ground. So this broad circulation continues to turn on itself, it just can't get the support at the base or the maybe the correct amount of inflow it needs to actually support lifting debris and everything up off the ground.
Okay. This is a heads up certainly for Newcastle as well. Newcastle Casino. You know, as we're watching this evolve live, here it is 4:40 in the afternoon. The window is shortening now for Newcastle Casino. Let's go to the storm tracker, and right now it's red line, center line for Bridge Creek. Chickasha is not even on the map. It's way down here, so we're zoomed way in. Red line, center line for Bridge Creek, the Bailey Turnpike, yes, just southwest of Bridge Creek, and then Newcastle, red line, center line for Newcastle. Our South Doppler is located about 1.5 miles south of downtown, so we're looking at it right there from point blank range. And then from there, here's downtown Norman, here's downtown Moore. As of this second in time, there is no tornado warning for McLean or Cleveland. However, if things don't change, they're going to come out. So you folks in Newcastle, Moore, and Norman, definitely Newcastle, really perk up here. You need to make those preparations right now to get ready to go to that safe spot that is of reasonable, substantial safety. Okay? We're not talking about huge F5s, but we are talking about what looked like a high-end F2, low-end F3 there for a while that was multi-vortex. That can produce a lot of damage. Is it very big? Circulation might have been about 1/4 mile wide. Just guessing on it from what Mark Dillard had, the whole vortex, multi-vortex, might have been about 1/4 mile wide. You know, anyplace else in the country, that'd be a pretty big tornado. Here, relatively, it's kind of a medium, but it's significant, and it is very dangerous. There's no doubt about that. So Bridge Creek, Newcastle, heads up for you guys, and you need to be in that safe spot in Bridge Creek for sure. You don't want to be going down the Bailey Turnpike at all. Big hail, threat for tornado on the interstate. Let's go back to Mark Dillard live. Mark?
Yes, Mike, still repositioning. I'm having to work a couple of side roads here to get back in a better position. This thing continues up the I-44 corridor, basically heading right in toward the Newcastle, Bridge Creek area, South Metro. Just ask folks to be weather aware and be ready to go with your plan and enact your plan at a moment's notice. Mike, as we whip this curve now, you can see it again. It's beginning to have more of a feeder band into it, maybe more of a centralized base where it could form a funnel. It's just still got so many different eddies of circulation that just can't quite focus all the way together like we saw previously this afternoon, where we had funnels coming all the way down to the ground to become a tornado. But that's not to say that it can't get its act together really quick. Mike, let me work these roads, and we'll get a better shot here in a matter of minutes.
Okay, I think it's cycling back up. Again, we're second by second, we're looking at this. I think it's cycling back up now. Tornado warning is now coming out from McLean County. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Newcastle Casino, red line, center line. Tornado warning coming out from McLean County. That is just to the southwest of Moore. Let's go to Max 2, and you'll see the hook is re-intensifying, and you see the motion of the hook. We're zoomed way in. This is Bridge Creek. Here's the McLean County line. Here's the southwest spur that comes out of Norman and then goes up to Mustang. So there's the southwest spur, Bridge Creek area. This is Newcastle right here. So we're zoomed way in. The hook is re-intensifying, and it's about to make physical contact with the Bailey Turnpike. Cars do not want to be on the Bailey Turnpike. And we're going to keep saying that because it's very, very important. At times, it has been wrapped in rain. It's been difficult to see. And just about 10 to 15 minutes ago, as you saw from Mark Dillard at point blank range, it was a multi-vortex tornado that might have been about 1/4 mile wide. Could have been an F2 easy, might have even been borderline F3. So significant tornado. You see the rotation. Let's go back to Mark Dillard. I think Emily Sutton might be on the Gentner as well. Emily, are you there? You're looking right at it as well.
She's not on mine.
We'll get back with Emily. Let's go back to Mark Dillard looking at his live stream. Mark?
Yes, Mike. Rotation picking up, inflow picking up. There briefly for about the last 30, 45 seconds, it was really rocking and rolling. Now it seems like it's kind of spun out again. It seems like it's separating a little bit, getting a wider area of circulation, but it did try to localize there for just a second. This could also mean that it's just expanding, and it's going to start putting down those vortexes around the ring of the circulation like a carousel, which are indicative of large tornadic situations, Mike. So I'm not real happy seeing this right now. We're getting pretty close to the metro area, heavily populated. It's a bad time of day. for folks to be out. I suggest that folks, especially in the Southwest Metro, get to a place of shelter within the next 10 to 15 minutes. In Newcastle, quicker than that. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that. Hank Baker joins us now live with that same report. Hank Baker, very experienced storm tracker. Hank joins us live. Hank, situation here, the Bailey Turnpike, just southwest of Bridge Creek. It's been a multi-vortex tornado. What do you have right now?
Yes, Mike, that's why I wanted to call in. This has been on the ground within the last couple of minutes, and I am exactly 5 miles straight east of Amber, but it's right on the northern side of the H.E. Bailey. It looks like it could actually go right over the turnpike at this time. Large, violent rotation, multiple vortices. As of right now, Mike, it looks to me, this, as you know, this has been cycling up and down so much, but at times it looks like it's going to really put down a large, violent tornado, and we'll see vortices on the ground, and then it seems to recycle. Mike, we've got it on the ground right now. Right off to my left of the H.E. Bailey, and I've got to back up. I'm in a bad spot here, Mike.
Dillard Stream. Hank Baker, let me just ask you a question here. We were speculating maybe F3 tornado a while ago, and we're looking at the live stream right now. If I were to say F3 tornado, what would you say back?
I would say yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, this is some really violent rotation, Mike. This is a little bit out of the ordinary for most of the stuff that we're on. So it keeps cycling. It almost gets to where it's really bad. And then it's on the ground, Mike. It is on the ground. And again, it's 2, 3, 4. It's 5 miles straight east of Amber, right to the left off of the turnpike. It looks like it's fixing across the turnpike, and it's actually staying pretty stationary. And the rotation is getting really, really broad now, Mike. It looks like it's really starting to wrap up.
Okay, it is heading directly for Bridge Creek. It has turned a little more due eastbound. Please stay on the Gentner there, Hank. Let's talk to Mark Dillard here, who's also looking at it. Mark?
Yes, Mike. It's very, very broad. It's almost like a wrapping curtain situation, but these are at times vortices that will whip in and out. Very, very large. In fact, it almost looks like it's trying to merge into a second area of circulation. In fact, we have a satellite funnel, Mike, back off to the west of the turnpike. It went and bumped the turnpike. Now it's being sucked back. It's actually being sucked back. We have two tornadoes. Mike. We've got a parent tornado, and then we have a satellite tornado. This is going to be just about 4 to the south, back down to the due south of the Norman Spur connector. Mike, we've got, in fact, I'm going to have to go here in just a second because this thing is almost on top of me, putting out satellite tornadoes as well. Mike, back to you.
Okay, what you're looking at right here, folks, here's the main tornado right here. Actually, there's multi-vortexes inside of this, okay? This is part of a multi-vortex tornado, okay? This alone is not the whole tornado. There's other tornadoes, multi-vortexes inside of that, and then you may have seen just off to the right of that little small needle tornado. That was what's called a satellite tornado. That's dynamic. So let's go back to Hank Baker, and let's talk about that some more. We can take Max 2. So we have a multi-vortex tornado. Right now we're thinking it's difficult to try to, in real time, predict what they are, but give or take about F3. Hank Baker joins us back live. This is just southwest of Bridge Creek. And Hank, it does appear like the circulation is now indeed on the Bailey, northwest side.
It's right on the edge of the Bailey, Mike, and it actually looks almost like it's trying to drift southeast. I'm actually having to back up by almost a mile to get out of the path. It is going right across the Bailey right now, Mike. Right now, you're correct. It is going across the Bailey. It is a large, violent circulation on the ground. Just because there's not condensation, and this also looks to me like it's at least this circulation is at least a half a mile wide, Mike, at least that much, if not more. I've got hail wrapping around the back side of it, and the circulation is right on top of the Bailey right now, Mike. back to you.
Okay, I see a vortex literally crossing over the Bailey right now, as you have indicated looking at it live. It's up to a half a mile wide, multi-vortex, and, you know, we're going to stick in that F3 range, plus or minus F3 tornado. We don't want to take anything higher than that very lightly, but, you know, we're going to call it like it is. And, you know, Hank's thrown the word out violent a couple of times, and that oftentimes indicates, you know, up in the F4 range. So we're just going to kind of try to call it as close to it as we can call it. It may not be exactly spot on every time, but we just as soon give you the information so you know what our experienced team of trackers is seeing and what we see from the chopper and our live streams here as well. Let's talk to Emily Sutton. She's on the Bailey. Let's hold Mark Dillard's stream here. Emily's on the Bailey right now. Emily, what do you have?
Mike, you know, we drove right past it, and from a far distance, we saw the vortex reaching the ground. Right now, we're located just southeast of Amber. So you're looking at our stream, and I know it's dark because our perspective of it, I believe, is wrapped in the rain. We do not see a visual of this, but according to radar, it is literally right in front of us. So we are watching for power flashes. I almost want to tell these people driving across the H.E. Bailey, they don't even know that they're driving into it right now. So we're keeping a close eye on it. Earlier, we were next to it, obviously, of the dynamic winds feeding into the storm, ran into some hail. But right now, we're kind of holding back to wait till it crosses so we don't drive into it.
Emily, good information. Appreciate that. One thing I noticed right there with Mark Dillard's stream, those rain curtains were moving pretty fast. So what do we have? We have what appears to be plus or minus an F3 multi-vortex tornado, maybe up to about a half mile wide. It is multi-vortex. Part of it is on the Bailey right now. It's from the Bailey to the west and north.
Rain curtain rotating.
Say that again?
Quarter-mile rain rotating rain curtain.
Quarter-mile rain curtain rotating.
4.5 southwest of Bridge Creek.
4.5 southwest of Bridge Creek, which is spot on where we have it here. Bridge Creek's right here. This is the Bailey. Folks on the Bailey probably don't live here. They probably are not familiar with tornadic activity. The folks that live here, we get it, and we don't go down the Bailey Turnpike into a tornado. So those folks need to get the message. They need to clue in the weather's bad. Okay, so here is Blanchard. So it turned more to the right. It wobbled more to the right, which puts Blanchard in a little bit more danger here, okay? So here's Blanchard, and here's Newcastle. Here's the southwest spur right here. Still a sink drain effect. That explains the multi-vortex, quarter to half mile rotating area of multi-vortex tornado. Let's go back to Mark Dillard here live. Still on the ground. Mark?
Yes, Mike, just having to reposition. That thing almost overtakes me every time I get a good look at it. It almost comes and overtakes us again. It's got a wide wrapping rain curtain in front of it. It'll have satellite tornadoes around the parent circulation, and they're intermittent. It's a very hop and skip situation, but a very, very large area of circulation, Mike. In fact, when we stop, the front lip of the wall is already on top of us, so we've got to keep kind of bumping and going here, just try to stay ahead of it, fighting the roads and some chaser traffic as well. But almost to Warbonnet, the small community of Warbonnet, which is due south of the Norman Spur and I-44 there. Give me about 2 seconds, and we'll have a better show for you. Mike, back to you.
Okay, appreciate that, Mark Dillard. Let's go back to Hank Baker. Hank, what do you have?
Hello, Mike. I am still on the H.E. Bailey Turnpike, about 5 miles due east of Amber, and you're right. The storm looks like it's taking a right turn. It's actually crossed the Bailey, and it's almost heading east. Also, it's really getting wrapped up now on this side. I lost my visual of the multiple vortices because it's really starting to get wrapped up in rain from this angle, Mike. And so I can't help you visually at this time until I get repositioned. So back to you. Okay,
so let's take a deep breath and let's talk about what we have. So you see the sink drain really clearly evident here, and here is Newcastle right here. Here's Blanchard right here, and I just shifted the mode of the Doppler. That's why it looks a little different here. Look at the big area here of tornado here. It just crossed over the Bailey, and look at the hook, how it's really torquing in like a sink drain. That tells you the circulation is strong, and you could even say it's violent, and it is a deep circulation. It is powerful. It has a lot of strength. So you don't want to be in a mobile home or non-really substantial shelter. And I would really prefer that you're in a storm cellar, a basement, below ground, If all you have is an interior closet or bathroom, that's okay, but you really prefer that you are in something that is very, very substantial, like a storm cellar, basement, or a safe room, because it could be borderline F4. I think it's a given. It's been an F3, could be borderline F4, and it is heading into Newcastle and North Blanchard right now. Here's Mark Dillard's stream. It is multi-vortex. There is a bit of rain involved in the circulation, but the safest place you know in Blanchard and Newcastle. From there, McLean County is under a tornado warning, so it's the entire Newcastle area. From there, it is into Norman and Moore, but Cleveland County right now not under a tornado warning. Let's go back to Mark Dillard. Mark?
Yes, Mike, just continuing with that broad area of circulation now, and the wrapping rain curtain that's just underneath. I can't tell if it's completely filled in or not, because I cannot see through the rain curtains, and they go back probably about a mile wide, Mike, of wrapping rain curtains here. I'm going to try to stop and give you a good shot. You've got this front area of circulation where it's the lifting front end of it, and then you've got this very, very wide area that is filled in of just wrapping rain. Now, is that just circulating around a possible...
That is a tornado in there, Mark. Let's go over to the South Dop. That is a tornado in there. Let's call it what it is here. Look at the eye. There's an eye. See the eye? The eye's on the Bailey. This is a big tornado right here, and it could be violent, and it wouldn't be impossible that it's an F4, although it's impossible to say exactly what it is, not live. But there's Bridge Creek. The eye is over the Bailey. It looks like a hurricane with feeder bands going into it. That's what large, violent tornadoes look like on radar. This is from our South Doppler radar, which is in the direct path of it, looking at it from 5 miles away. So Chopper has damage. Uh-oh, bad damage. Let's take Bob Moore Chopper 4 live. There is significant damage here. John, go. We're just now dialing him in. This is northeast of Chickasha, and this is when it was probably multi-vortex a while ago. This strikes home as to what we're dealing with right here. Go, John Welsh.
Yeah, Mike, this is just going to be right just northeast of the airport, maybe half a mile. You can see that mobile home is completely destroyed, or I believe that it was a mobile home. Just right there by the airport in Chickasha. That's all the damage that we saw. We're just now obviously lifting off for gas. We're going to try and get around and get back in front of this storm here, Mike.
Okay, John's got a full tank of gas here. What he did, he's touched down at the Chickasha airport, came back up, and he came back up, and this is northeast of Chickasha. That's what he has. He thinks that's a mobile home. This is why mobile homes are not safe, because it doesn't take a violent tornado to do that to a mobile home. And that's why we encourage you, if you're in a mobile home, to evacuate that mobile home and go to a safe spot. Even F1, F2s can do damage that looks like that, and that is an obliteration of what appears to be a mobile home. Northeast of Chickasha. John just took off from the Chickasha airport. Whose stream is that? That's Mike Bennett. Let's go to Mike Bennett. Tornado on the ground up by Lahoma. Mike Bennett, go.
Yeah, Mike, this is actually south of Mino. It's going to be, I think it's going to be about a mile south of Mino. And we've got this one, and we've got another area that could produce a tornado between Mino and Lahoma. I'm going to say that area rotation is really tight, localized spinning, and it's probably about halfway between Mino and Lahoma, south of Highway 412. And then we have this rotation right here. We was actually repositioning to, stay on the east mesocyclone. And then
this is 11 miles to the west of Enid is where this is. It's over by Mino, not too far from Lahoma. That is a tornado on the ground. You folks in Lahoma, tornado safety precautions right now. Might even be potential multi-vortex tornado. This is west of Enid, northwest of Oklahoma City by about 75 miles. Western Garfield County, far eastern Major County. Could be a significant tornado right there. Let's go over to the storm tracker, and we're going to go to this larger tornado. Look at this. This is a bad presentation. Bad presentation here. Newcastle, Blanchard. Okay, so here's the county line right here. It looks like it'll probably go just south of Bridge Creek. The eye of the tornado just passed over the Bailey Turnpike. It is about a mile wide in terms of the rotating rain curtains. Inside of that is a multi-vortex tornado with an eye. And that is a significant tornado. We don't want to throw around the word violent too much, but Hank Baker's used the word violent, and it's about time to really continue to use that word violent. So I think we're talking about F3 plus tornado here. Let's go back over to either, who do we have, Hank Baker or Mark Dillard? Let's go. Who do we have?
Mike, this is Hank.
Go, Hank.
The tornado path crossed the turnpike. There is damage. There's damaged cars on the turnpike. There's debris all over the turnpike, and that would be located exactly 5 to 6 miles east of Amber. 5 to 6 miles east of Amber. There's a lot of damage. There's telephone poles down with power lines on the turnpike. I just saw a car running down the turnpike and ran right into the power pole, Mike. And I can visually see a large, wide path as I'm coming in on the south side of the circulation. It is still a large, broad, wide circulation, and it is rotating extremely fast. This is a violent, violent situation. It's looking to me like the tornado width is about a half a mile, and it's becoming more defined right now, Mike. It looks like it's just off to the east of the turnpike. I've got damage for buildings laying in the turnpike. I've got looks like an overturned 18-wheeler on the turnpike, and that would be just south of East-West Road 1250. That's going to put us damaged 18-wheeler that's flipped on its side, blocking the highway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're about 7 miles east and northeast of Amber. We still, Mike, this is a large tornado.
Yes.
I've got a visual now. It is extremely wide. This to me, and I don't like to use this phrase, but it looks like May 3rd stuff. And this is rapid rotation. It looks like almost the El Reno day that we had. So I'm going to send it back to you and keep a close eye on this, Mike.
Stay with us, Hank. And folks, again, this is by far the most important information we passed along all day. Hank Baker's, he's been storm chasing, tornado chasing a lot. He's seen a lot of tornadoes. And I would agree. I'm showing F4 intensity winds now from the South Dop, and the South Dop is only a couple of miles away from it. And the circulation, it's a mile wide. The circulation, the hardcore wind, the core of the wind is a mile wide. So I'd say it's fair to say it's a mile wide tornado. I think it's fair to say that it's an F4 tornado, and it is heading into, I tell you what's dangerous is this southwest spur with automobiles potentially on that. Coming out of South Newcastle, the southwest spur, this is bad news here. The automobiles on the southwest spur, if you're listening to us on the radio, you either have to get out of the way, like now, or you need to abandon your vehicle and go get in that ditch. Because this is bad. This is an F4, fair to say, F4 mile wide. It's now lifting or jogging a little bit more to the north. It's wobbling like the eye of a hurricane. And it's now coming over the southwest spur. Okay, let's look at Dillard's picture here. Here's a picture of it. Max 1. Max 1. Max 1. Max 1. Yeah, there it is. Okay, that's not the entire tornado. It's multi-vortex. It's over here too. So it's bigger than that visual portion you see right there. That's it from Mark Dillard just coming in. Let's go back to the storm tracker. It's going to go just south of Bridge Creek. I think it's fair to say F4 mile wide. F4 mile wide. It's going to go just south of Bridge Creek. Let's go back over to Max 2. Back over to Max 2. It's wobbling like a hurricane, like the eye of a hurricane. It had an eye. It did go over the Bailey. There are cars that have been hit by the tornado. And here's downtown Newcastle. It's wobbling. Our South Doppler is right there. We're looking at it from 4 miles away. There's no other Doppler radar within miles of this thing. Our South Dop is looking right at it. Look at the detail, and you can see the sink drain of a mile-wide F4 tornado. It's coming over the southwest spur, Bridge Creek, Bailey Turnpike. It's heading for downtown Newcastle. You folks in Newcastle, below ground. What we prefer you to do is be below ground, storm cellar, basement, safe room. Mobile homes are not at all safe. Get to the safest place you know of. This is really dangerous stuff. It's a multi-vortex violent tornado. Away from windows, basement, storm cellar, safe room, blanket, helmet, goggles, jeans, tennis shoes, closed-soled shoes. Do everything you can to get safe. Tornado emergency. Yes, yes. Tornado emergency from the National Weather Service is out. It's out now. We're talking about the Southwest Metro here, Newcastle. Let's go back to Max 2. Who do we have?
That's Emily.
Let's go to Emily Sutton, live. Emily? Emily's on our getting her up here.
Hello, Mike.
Yes, go.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, we're on the turnpike. We're driving back north. Of course, the troopers are doing their job of closing down the roads. And now I have some tree damage across the road. I mean, limbs of trees. I see shards of metal thrown across. It looks like a part of a gate or something. Shards of sheet metal draped across parts of the fences here. And definitely just tons of tree debris across the road.
Okay, F4 tornado, it's made a turn to the north. It's now in South Bridge Creek. The tornado is now in South Bridge Creek. It made that jog to the north. It made a jog to the north. It's now in South Bridge Creek. I have F4 wind velocities, no doubt about it. It's a mile wide. Tornado emergency for the Southwest Metro, Newcastle. Next, if it doesn't do something hopefully favorable, we're talking about Moore and Norman, okay?
I'm being told to go to Mark Dillard.
Let's go to Mark Dillard live. F4 tornado, folks. Go, Mark.
Yes, Mike, I just passed the Bridge Creek School. I went all the way around trying to get to the other side of it, and you're looking at it right now. This is about the worst description I can give you, Mike. I cannot see definition of it except from side to side. It's about, I would say it's a mile-wide wedge coming in, wrapped in rain. You're not going to see it, folks. I'm pleading with you, get to your safe spot if you're in the Southwest Metro area. If you're near Bridge Creek over to Newcastle, get there now. You don't have time to wait and watch this thing come in. Very dangerous situation, Mike. I cannot give you any definition to it. It's basically a mile-wide wedge. I can see the what I believe is going to be the south flank. I'm going to be just to the west of it now. I've got golf balls coming down on me in Bridge Creek. I'm literally at the school. I passed it about 30 seconds ago. I'm back here at the, just want to say I'm having to back out a little bit, Mike. It's so wide here, and it's coming into the southwest side of the metro. I'm at County Road 2958 and Sooner Road, just back to the west of Highway 4 that heads down to the spur, and it's literally hitting the spur right now, Mike. I had cars and police vehicles stopped on the turnpike. They were not letting cars down. But I'm afraid if they didn't get them turned around, Mike, they're getting hit right now.
This is a really bad situation because it's on the southwest spur, and it is a violent tornado, and it is over the southeast side of Bridge Creek, and it's on the Bailey as well. So I hope and pray there are not a lot of cars right there at the southwest spur and the Bailey Turnpike, because that's where the center of that mile-wide F4 tornado is located. John Welsh can see about half to two-thirds of it right there in the rain. It is a violent wedge tornado. You're looking at it live. This is not a good situation. Go, John Welsh.
Yeah, no, it's not, Mike. We came around the backside of it, and you can actually see it probably just a little bit better from the backside. It's definitely it's a huge wedge. There's a lot of lowering. It's unfortunately wrapped in rain here, but I'm going to actually kind of try and sneak around and give you a better shot. But the better shot's going to be from the backside of the storm here, and it looks pretty big. It's kind of hard to tell just because of how big it is there, Mike.
Okay, John, appreciate that. We're going to monitor your shot. Let's go to the south Doppler. And again, you can see about half of it. Here comes the beam around. And it's a sink drain on the Bailey. And it's been on the Bailey here for quite some time. It may be shrinking a little bit. It might be shrinking a little bit, but it's on the east side of Bridge Creek on the Bailey at the southwest spur is where it is right now. It is heavily involved in rain. So it is heading up for Newcastle now, which puts more of the Moore area more in the path. Now, it may lift. It might go away before it gets to Moore, but this is the heads up for you folks in Moore. It's that storm cellar basement. You know, so we talked to so many folks in Moore. There's so many storm shelters in Moore that are either across the street or a half a block down the road. You know what? Now's the time to go there and do it, please. In Moore, just go there. Stream it on your phone, take your portable radio or television, and go to the safest place that you know in the Moore area, because if it doesn't change, it's going to go through the Newcastle casino area and Newcastle, and then it's going to come to the river in far southwest Oklahoma City and far west Moore. Still a little ways away from there. But advance warning is good warning, and this is advance warning for you to take those immediate violent tornado safety precautions. There's a tornado emergency in effect for the Southwest Metro, and if things don't change, yes, it is going into Cleveland County. And whether or not it's an F4, we don't know. But right now, we think it's a mile-wide F4. Let's go back to Bob Moore Chopper 4 here live. It's on the Bailey Turnpike. Go, John.
Yeah, Mike, right now we're over 277 here, just north of Blanchard, shooting back towards the west. And as you can see, the definition of this wedge here, it's right there in our shot. You can see the back end of it and then the front end, and that's just how wide it is. Coming straight up, like you said, the Bailey, it looks like it's going to be about just a few miles northwest of Blanchard, the town proper, but continuing to track to the northeast, Mike, and it is it's a very big and violent tornado. From the backside, we're able to see some of the rotation in there, but obviously the front side is the rain. Although you can see the rain is actually starting to lighten up just in front of this thing. It has a very large feeder band, which is giving it a lot of energy and allowing it to kind of grow and continue to track to the northeast there, Mike.
Okay, it is still a violent tornado. It's been on the Bailey now for a long time. It's been on the Bailey for a long time. Take the chopper shot full, control room. Take the chopper shot full, and it is a wedge tornado. It's a wedge tornado. Look at it. It is a wedge tornado, and it's big. There's one side of it. Here's the other side of it, right here. It's a mile wide.
That could be wider.
Might be a little wider, but it's a mile wide. It's a mile wide, power flashes, mile wide, multi-vortex tornado, power flashes. It's on the Bailey, and this is how folks get killed in these cars. It's on the Bailey Turnpike down at the Southwest Spur, and let's hope and pray there are no cars there on the Southwest Spur or the Bailey. Large multi-vortex tornado, live. Go, John.
Yeah, Mike, right now, you called it as soon as Travis said it, the power flashes. You can see the storm, the tornado, I don't know, maybe three-quarters of a mile, a solid three-quarters of a mile, ground contact right there. It's wrapped in rain. The rain is actually lightening up a little bit. However, in front of it, it's not looking any better because the feeder band is continuing to lower. It's continuing to get bigger, and the energy is just going to continue to be funneled in there as it continues to track to the northeast. They do have the roads shut down on 277. Troopers are out here kind of turning everybody around. So as far as 277, Highway 62 coming in to the city here, that roadway looks pretty clear at this time. But we're not sure about H.E. Bailey. We did see a lot of cars on Bailey as we were coming up the backside there, Mike.
Yeah, and it's still coming. It's still traveling up the Bailey. It's still traveling up the Bailey, and it's pretty much red line, center line now for downtown Newcastle and the Newcastle Casino. Folks, this is as serious as it gets. Newcastle Casino, Newcastle, the Bailey Turnpike. No car should be on the Bailey Turnpike. You folks in the Newcastle Casino area, all those new subdivisions in through there, this is a large 1 mile wide, at least F4 tornado. It's violent, multi-vortex. Let's go over to the South Dot and let's take a look. We'll briefly go away. Look at the sink drain. It has what we call a centrifuge effect from debris, like May 20th. The outer wall of debris is about 1.75 miles wide. The outer wall is 1.75 miles wide. The inner wall is about 3/4 mile wide, and then it has an eye that is a couple of blocks wide. And you see it because our South Doppler is right here. We're looking right at it in ultra super high resolution. The outer wall is 1 3/4, the inner wall is 3/4, and the eye is several blocks wide. There's Bridge Creek. This is the Bailey. The eye is a couple hundred yards on the northwest side of the Bailey Turnpike. Let's go to the live traffic flow on Max 1 real fast. Showing the orange area there, showing slower traffic. We don't know what that necessarily means for sure, but there's the Bailey Turnpike. But you know what? There should be no cars on the Bailey Turnpike, none. And don't go down the Bailey. Bad news. Let's go back to John Welsh and Bob Moore Chopper for tornado emergency for Newcastle and the Newcastle Casino, Bridge Creek, and the entire area around the Bailey Turnpike. Go, John.
Yeah, Mike, it's not looking any better. It's actually kind of hard to see, as you can see it right there. And our shot, the rain has really increased here and broke up a lot of the contrast that we were able to get earlier. And like you said, it's still going up the H.E. Bailey, and it's like, it's not getting any better. We know that. It's not decreasing in size, and all the ingredients that would allow it to decrease are not there. All the ingredients that are going to allow it to increase are there. So at this time, it's still a very violent, tornado tracking to the northeast. It looks like it's going to pass obviously well north and west of Highway 9 and 62 right here. They've got cars all blocked off this area. So the south side of town, it appears that you're going to be clear. However, obviously north and west of here, it's a completely different story, guys. Mike, back to you.
Okay, John, appreciate that. Go to the storm tracker here. Go to the storm tracker, and this will give you an idea. It's wobbling like the eye of a hurricane wobbles. Look at the eye. Again, this is from our South Doppler radar. There's no other radar in the Southwest Metro that you're going to see live like this. The eye, the inner eye just went away. The outer wall is about 3/4 of a mile to a mile wide, or the inner wall is rather. It looks like it's kind of going like this. It's exhaling a little bit right now. Bridge Creek on the northern side, and the band is that wall's actually on the Bailey. Okay, so here's Southwest 149th. Here's Southwest 164th. Here's the Warren Theater right here. Here's the Warren Theater. Here's South 4th or Highway 37. This is the Bailey Turnpike. There's the River Bridge. Here's the Newcastle Casino. It's red line, center line for the Newcastle Casino at about 5:30, 5:36. 5:30, 5:36. Outer wall is 1 3/4 mile wide. The inner wall is temporarily gone away. And the eye, which was a couple of blocks wide, is also temporarily gone away. That might be short-term good news. It could be short-term that it's weakening, but it is involved heavily in rain. It's involved in a lot of rain. There's a lot of rain in it. Go, John Welsh.
Yeah, Mike, right now it's actually kind of hard for us to see because of all the rain. You can see the very front of it right there where I say the feeder band is actually feeding into it. And, you know, then you kind of lose contrast all to the rain. A couple of reasons. One, the sun is setting, and so we're losing a lot of that ambient light that we can get on the backside of it. But prior to that, I think the rain is the biggest hamper on the ability for us to see it as it continues to track to the northeast here, Mike.
Okay, John, appreciate that. Okay, you can clearly see it. Let's go to the South Doppler. It's still on the ground. Again, it's inside the rain, but we can see inside the rain with a Doppler. So here's the Newcastle Casino, here's the Bailey, and you can tell where it is. It's right here. It is weaker, it's not as strong, but it is there. It looks like it might be an F3. Again, there's the Bailey Turnpike. So the center, the core of that is just under a mile to the north of the Bailey. There's Bridge Creek. It was on the Bailey for a long time, and now it's lifted more to the north. But that's live imagery there from the South Dop, and it is still probably an F3, the way it looks. It isn't as strong as it was about 5 minutes ago. So let's hope it begins to lift. It's south of Tuttle. Tuttle's right up at the very top of the map. Let's watch the beam go through it live. And it is weakening. It's weakening, and let's hope it continues to weaken. And it is definitely lifting more to the north. So here's downtown Newcastle right here. Our South Doppler's right here. The Newcastle Casino's right there. John, it's back there in that rain. You're looking at the feeder band from your chopper shot. It's right back there in the rain.
Yeah, it is, Mike, and I'm going to give you a turn here. It's actually pretty hard to see, but that has to be the area it is, because when we continue to track behind it, we can actually see through the rain. But definitely a big, strong, heavy tornado, you know, here, Mike. It's really hard for us to see, though.
Okay, do we have Mark Dillard or Emily Sutton on the Gentner control room?
Yes, Mike.
Go, Mark. Mark, you're on. Go.
I just had Highway 76 on Highway 37 coming out of Tuttle. Cut off at the turnpike there, so I had to wrap back around. I've been flying. I have no visual on it whatsoever, Mike. If it's still on a path wobbling along the turnpike here, then it's going to be affecting the Newcastle, West Newcastle area, and the area just to the east of 76. So, folks in that area, take your tornado precaution right now. Mike, we're going to be to I-44 and 37 in a matter of a minute. I hope to beat it out of there and maybe catch a glimpse of it through some curtains or whatnot. But it is causing an immense amount of rain and hail out in front of it. And it's similar to the May 31st situation. We had all that rain coming down, so flooding is a concern as well, folks. You do not need to be out on the road in the Southwest Metro. Bottom line, back to you.
Okay, Mark, appreciate that. It is still on the ground, no doubt about it. Let's go to the storm tracker. Let's go to the storm tracker. Take a look. It is a little weaker, but here's more. Here's downtown Moore, and here's downtown Newcastle. It is right almost on the county line now, just past Bridge Creek, just to the north of the Bailey Turnpike. and it has so much rain involved in it that the rain is weakening it just a little bit. It has baseball-size hail in the purple coming into more. So another aspect is damaging, very large damaging hail. So you want to protect your property from the hail. The tornado, though, is still very much on the ground. It may not be an F4. If you have Hank Baker, let me know, or Emily Sutton, let me know, or the chopper as well. We'll look, but it is still very much still on the ground. Let's go to the velocities on the south dop. We'll show it to you exactly where it is. And yes, it is looks like it might be more of a kind of a rope or a barrel rather than a large multi-vortex wedge, just looking at the wind, but that is a textbook circulation center of what looks like a barrel-shaped tornado. So the wind velocities could still be very strong in a barrel-shaped tornado, but it doesn't appear to be quite as big as it was before. I'd say now it's probably under a mile wide, but right, it's still a violent tornado, still large. Might be a barrel now. Hank, it's back there in the rain. It's a mile to the west of the county line, about 4 southeast of Tuttle. What do you have?
Mike, I am located 3.5 miles due west of Newcastle, and visually we've lost visual on it for the location of it. I can report that the damage that I did see along the turnpike, even though the damage was bad, it wasn't F4, F5 damage, not to minimize what's been taking place because there are trucks turned over, etc. But the damage didn't look as bad as what I expected when I hit the damage path. I cannot visually see that large rotation anymore because of it being wrapped in the rain. I'm still on the H.E. Bailey, again, about 4 miles, 3.5 miles west of Newcastle, and I'm hip-hopping, trying to get into the rain without getting hit by the tornado. I'm backing up and trying to get another visual. Mike, back to you.
Okay, I've got about 200-mile-per-hour wind shear from the south dop. It is still, I'd say it's probably a barrel sitting in there. It's about 200-mile-an-hour wind shear from the south dop. Let's go to the south Doppler and look at it. It's probably more of a barrel now, but it's right here. It is definitely lifting more to the north. Now it's a full 1.25 miles to 1.5 miles north of the Bailey. Southeast Tuttle, so southeast Tuttle up into the river area, the river bridge, Newcastle Casino, and these subdivisions in northwest Newcastle. You folks have got to be in your very safest spot you know of. Storm cellar basement neighborhood has one. Go there. It could easily still be F3 tornado, may or may not be an F4. Hank Baker indicated damage might have been slightly less intense than what he expected based on the visual that he had, but it has produced significant and quite a bit of damage. We know that for a fact, and it has been up to 1 mile wide, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Let's go back over to, do we have Mark Dillard?
I've got Emily.
Let's go to Emily Sutton. Go, Emily.
Hi, Mike. Yeah, back on the damage, right after I spoke with you, we actually came upon 2 cars. This is just west of Blanchard on the turnpike where we saw the damage. Well, 2 men actually were hit by the tornado, 2 separate cars, and they survived, but their windows were blown out. They had large tree limbs over their cars. I mean, one of the cars is totaled. The men are just covered in dirt and debris. Thank God they're safe. If I had to estimate just looking at this based on my specific location, I would say EF2 maybe, but it's really hard to tell because it's just a localized area. But yeah, people definitely impacted on the turnpike, very dangerous.
Okay, Emily, appreciate that. It is in the neighborhoods in southeast Tuttle right now. Let's go back to Mark Dillard, still on the ground. It's in the neighborhoods in southeast Tuttle right now. Will Rogers is evacuating the visitors and the planes at Will Rogers to a safe location. Typically, they use the underground causeway, breezeway at Will Rogers. Will Rogers is doing that right now. Will Rogers World Airport, southwest Oklahoma City. So the broader view, let's take this full here real fast. The broader view here is if things do not change for the better, what we're going to have happen is we're going to have at least a moderate strength tornado plus coming into the southwest metro. It could come into Moore. It could come into South Oklahoma City. It could come into North Norman. There's a latitude of error here because these wobble back and forth. But if it doesn't lift, there's going to be at least a medium-sized, medium-strength tornado, which we're talking F2, F3, half-mile wide, you know, every place else in the world, that is a huge tornado, and it is here too, yes, but it may not be this F4, F5, at least not right now. But I tell you, the velocities, let's go, you see there's downtown Moore, here's Dale City, here's Midwest City. You see the red line, center line, we kind of average out the wobbles and take the red line, center line of the track, and that's where the red line, center line with the wobbles taken out is where it's going. And there's your time variety. arrival. Tornado emergency continues all of the South Metro, Southwest Metro, Indian Hill Road, Max Westheimer Airport, 539, the FAA, 540, that's Will Rogers, OCCC, Southwest Oklahoma City at 543. Let's go to the North Doppler. Look at the North Doppler and look at the velocities, and they are weakening. These velocities are weakening. I don't want to say it's lifting, but it might be lifting. It's right here just on the west side of the county line. It's in the neighborhoods in southeast Tuttle right now. So here's OCCA, and there's OCCC right there. Here's the Bailey, and here's the Bailey here. There's Bridge Creek. It's probably still on the ground, might be an F. As Emily indicated, she thought it might be F2. Could be F2.
Cleveland is in the new tornado warning.
Say that again?
Cleveland County is in the new tornado
Brand new tornado warning, Cleveland County. That's southwest Oklahoma City and more. Tornado warning now, Cleveland County. Tornado emergency, south and southwest metro. Let's go to Mark Dillard live. Mark, it's in the neighborhoods in southeast Tuttle. It is moving more northeasterly now for the Newcastle Casino area. What do you have?
Yes, Mike, I just went past the casino. I'm cutting through Newcastle now, trying to get in a position where I can at least see something out of this rain. I've been fighting the rain and the hail. Had to come all the way around through the core and punch through it and get onto what I'm hoping is the backside where I can see some storm definition to whether or not this thing is still in contact with the ground. But in these situations, it's better to play safe than sorry and just think that it is, especially when it's radar indicated with such a pronounced...
I've got to talk to John Welsh. John Welsh? John Welsh, can you hear me? John Welsh.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, listen to me.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Southwest Norman, the new cycle. The new cycle is increasing fast. Southwest Norman. This is going to be located just north of Highway 9 at Newcastle Highway, southbound. What do you see right there? Let's take your chopper shot.
Yeah,
South
go to your
Newcastle.
left.
The new cycle is
That's
coming
it
up
right
fast. This could be
there,
bad
Mike.
for Norman, and it may not take that much time. What do you have right there? Norman.
There it is, Mike. It's right in the top of the screen. You can see it. There's definitely some rotation here, and the rain in that particular area has lightened up a lot. But like you said, it's going to be bad if that does come through here because it's going to come pretty much track almost over Max Westheimer here. We're getting some lifting from the scud, as you can see right there. The rain is continuing to lighten up, and I really can't even see the tornado anymore due to all the rain. But this could be the next show in town here, Mike.
I think that this might be on the ground here. It's going to be just east of our South Doppler radar. John, I'd like for you to get over there. Let's let Emily and Hank and Dillard handle the weakening tornado. Folks, there's no doubt about it. It's weakening. Okay, this is important, very important. I'm not saying it's going to go away completely, but it is weakening, and a cycle is rapidly occurring. The tornado in southeast Tuttle is rapidly weakening. It may or may not go away. Cleveland County, McLean County, you're under a tornado warning. That's the bottom line. That has not changed, and it won't change. You're under a tornado warning. The new cycle is rapidly forming. This is bad potentially for Norman, and it's going to happen pretty fast.
Dillard.
Said Dillard?
Dillard.
Let's go to Mark Dillard. Go, Mark Dillard.
Mike.
Yes.
Yes, Mike, I've got wrapping curtains. I'm at the Doppler. I'm at the South Doppler, and I've got tree debris and wrapping curtains coming over the top of me right now. It's going to be off to our north and east, heading into Norman now, Mike.
I think it's a tornado on the ground. I've got it too, Mark. I'm with you. There is a tornado now on the ground just to the northeast of our South Doppler radar, and it is heading into Norman. You folks in Norman, immediate tornado precautions. You need to go to that safe room, interior closet or bathroom at the very least, and that we're serious about that. Safe room, storm cellar, basement. Norman, this is bad. It's on the ground, and it's spinning up fast. Look at the hook. Let's go to the South Doppler radar, actual radar. It almost hit it. Here it is right here. There's the radar. It went right over it. So here's Norman. Here's Robinson. Here's Rock Creek. Here's the river. The tornado is on the ground right here. Look at there's a spiral band there, spiral band there. That's about a quarter-mile wide tornado on the ground, 1.5 miles southwest of the river. Robinson, Main, and Rock Creek roads. You folks in West Norman, this is it right now, please. Safest place you know, preferably storm cellar, basement, Safest place you know. If you have one across the street, go there right now. Stream it on your phone. Take your radio or your battery-operated television set. Go there right now. Don't delay. Don't waste time. Do it, please, now. Norman. West Norman, at least. At least West Norman. Go, Mark Dillard.
Yes, Mike. I'm trying to get caught up to it, and it's going to be on the. It's not where I can tell completely in contact with the ground, but most likely, Mike, it's going to be wrapping curtains, which will be pulling tree limbs and whatnot. I have got to fight a little bit of traffic here, trying to get to Norman. We've got all the roads are starting to get blocked up with traffic as the local law enforcement is trying to block roads, but this thing is changing direction so fast they can't keep up with it. As it's now off in the what I'm going to call the little valley there, going off to the west side of Norman. Mike, back to you.
Okay, the chopper's got it. This is let's call this a tornado emergency for Norman. I think it's fair to say. Tornado emergency for Norman. It's on the ground here. Let's go to the south DOP and take a look at the, let's go to, I'm sorry, Max 2, okay? Look at that. There, look, wow. Quarter-mile wide plus on the ground. Tornado emergency for Norman, right? Look, the other tornado has lifted. It's gone. The one over southeast Tuttle, it's gone. That's a sigh of relief for Moore, Newcastle, and South Oklahoma City. Maybe large hail, damaging hail, yes. That tornado's lifted. This one is on the ground. Look at the eye. It is a half-mile wide tornado. Look at the hook, and look how fast that formed. Rapid scan. That's what a rapid scan Doppler will do for you right there. Real time. Tornado emergency for Norman. Robinson, Rock Creek, Main Street. It's about to cross the river into densely populated West Norman. Okay? Below ground, storm cellar or basement, away from windows. If you live in a mobile home, get out of it, go to a safe spot. Go. Let's go to the chopper. Chopper live. And we'll talk to Emily too. Chopper shot live. Chopper shot live.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep, we'll take the chopper live. Okay. Go, Emily Sutton.
Mike, the farther north I go, the worse the damage on the turnpike. It looks like some sort of structure was pretty much demolished. Granted, I don't think it was a sturdy one, but yeah, it gets worse the farther north you go. Almost every highway sign has been snapped in half. And we had an overturned semi. Thank goodness the two passengers were safe. We were actually able to speak with them. They're safe. Trees snapped in half. Just damage everywhere. This is, if I had to guess, EF2, EF3, but, I can't survey the damage right now. But serious stuff, guys. Definitely want to seek shelter if you're in the path of this storm.
Excellent report. Thank you for that. We will check back with you. Emily's on the damage up by the Bailey Turnpike between Bridge Creek and Newcastle. And there's a view of that damage right there. We're going to check back with Emily. Now, tornado emergency for Norman. Let's go to the South Doppler radar. And look at that. It's about 3 blocks wide, the eye. It's about 3 blocks wide. It missed the radar by a couple hundred yards, and it's only a mile northeast of it right now. But the whole thing is about a half a mile wide, and it's got a several block wide eye. We're zoomed so close in here, we're gonna just virtually show you your neighborhood street right here. Rock Creek, Robinson, and Main. Okay, I-35 is not even on this map. It's over here. This is West Norman. This is the river. This is southeast Newcastle. It has an eye. Let's go to Mark Dillard and take the chopper shot full. Tornado emergency for Norman. Go, Mark Dillard.
Yes, Mike. I'm having to work my way down to the casino and then cross back over on I-35. Folks, you got to get to your safe spot. Mike, I've got so much traffic on the road. It's not even funny. We've got law enforcement trying to block the road as much as they can. But off to my north, it's going to be across the river, from what I can tell, Mike. Going to be coming into the west side of Norman in the next couple of minutes here. So folks in Norman, particularly the west side, take your tornado precautions, and even up into Moore, go ahead and be ready to take your tornado precautions right now. It's in the river valley. Mike, back to you.
Oh, let's go to the chopper here full. Tornado emergency for Norman. Main Street coming up at 537. Main Street at the river at 537. Yep. Robinson and Western Avenue at 537. Rock Creek Road. just past the river at 538. The Riverwind Casino, it's possible. Probably will go just north of there, but not by much. Riverwind Casino, 538. And we're talking about Max Westheimer, 544, Lloyd Noble Center, 545, Norman High School, 546. John, it is on the ground. Looks to be about a quarter to a half a mile wide.
Yeah, it is, Mike. It's a lot easier to hear you explain it on radar, but Travis, if you can just turn the iris down just a little bit right there. Up or turn the master black up just a little bit. I'm looking at it right here, Mike, and it looks like it's going to be Robinson. You take Robinson straight out west, and that's where it is. That's where I'm seeing the rotation right there. It's on the ground. It's going to be south of the river, and I'm right over Bob Moore Farms now, looking out towards the west. We're facing north, and it looks like it's going to come up probably on the west side of Norman, and I'm going to call it probably Robinson at this time, Mike, is where it looks like from our vantage point it's going to cross over.
Yep, you're right on. Okay, the tornado vortex right now. Let's take the south dot. We're going to keep his shot. Again, that's about an F2 tornado going into Norman. Could be F3. Don't want to underplay it, don't want to overplay it. F2, F3. Right here. And that is clearly the vortex. And look at it. I mean, look at the vortex right there, right? Cone-shaped tornado. It's at Main Street, a mile west of the river. Okay, so here's Main, and here's Robinson, and here's the river, and the tornado clearly is right there. It just passed to the northeast of our South Doppler radar site. Cone-shaped tornado. OU is recommending students to take shelter immediately down on the Norman campus. Yes, tornado emergency for Norman, F2, F3 tornado, about a quarter mile wide, plus or minus a quarter mile wide, heading right into, it's about to cross the river right now. Let's go back to Bob Moore Chopper before looking at it live for Norman.
Yeah, Mike, as you can see, it's fixing to cross the river. Luckily, right in this particular area, there's not a lot of homes or buildings right here. It's going to cross the river, and then it's going to come into the southwest sides of Moore here, or I'm sorry, of Norman here, like around 60th. I think there's a few housing additions. That's really kind of where they start on the southwest side of town. So it appears at this time it's going to track right up the valley, stay in the kind of the low area right there along the river, and then probably somewhere about 60th and Main. If I had to pinpoint, I would call within a mile of that area, if it stays on its current track, is probably about where it's going to track as it continues to head to the northeast here. It's almost hard to see because we're kind of losing it with the definition here, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that. This is a tornado emergency for Norman, still on the ground. And you folks in especially the Main Street and Robinson Street up to maybe Rock Creek. Maybe up to Rock Creek. Let's go back to Mark Dillard. Mark, it's a cone-shaped tornado on the ground. What do you have? Let's go to Max 2, control room.
Go, Mark. Crossing the river on I-35. I'm getting back in position in front of it. I'm passing Lindsay right now. I can see the wall cloud itself. I cannot make out the tornado per se, but if the chopper's got it and you've got it on radar, it's there. I'm going to be in position as soon as I can. Hopefully, I can make this traffic here and get up to Main and set up in front of it. And folks, if you're in Norman, you have plans to go to Norman, forget it. There should be no traffic coming south on I-35, south of Moore for sure, and probably really south of 240, Mike. They need to go ahead and prepare the I-35 corridor for a shutdown situation and a crossing. Mike, I'm going to try to get out ahead of it as quick as I can. I'll be right back with you. Back to you.
Looks like it's a high-end F2, low-end F3 from here, just looking at the velocities. And it's not going very fast. I mean, look at what an incredible presentation this is, but it really gives you an idea. This is a 15-minute rapid scan loop. And look how it's kind of wobbling back and forth, but also look how it has an eye, and then the band around the eye is about a quarter to nearly a half a mile wide. You're looking inside the hook. Here's the hook right here, so you're actually inside the hook. But here are the neighborhoods. Here's West Main. Here's I-35 at Robinson right here. So we're talking about Robinson, Main, out around, well, let's go to John Welsh, Bob Moore Chopper 4, because he's looking right at it. It's about to cross the river right now, John.
Yeah, it is, Mike. It looks, as soon as it crosses the river, it's going to come on West 72nd Street here, and about Robinson, or it might come to Main Street. You know, Main Street doesn't go out to 72nd. However, it's right along that line, kind of right there on the river, and if it does continue to stay in contact with the ground and continue to come up, it's going to go right over a lot of the houses in this area. There's apartment. There's basically the Mile of Cars areas everybody knows, and it's going to track, just looks like south of the Embassy Suites, almost just directly towards the airport if it kind of stays on its current track. It's really hard for us to see. We're kind of going zooming in and out as the light changes and the definition of it or actually weakens a little bit maybe. It was pretty easy to see early on because it was a lot more defined. At this time, it's harder to see. However, as we have known, when it comes in and starts picking up debris and stuff, it makes it a whole lot easier to see. Let's hope that doesn't happen, but we'll continue to stay here and follow it, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that, John Welsh. It is now crossing the river, coming into West Norman right now. Let's go back to Max 2, and let's hope that it lifts, but you see clearly right there, it's crossing the river right now. Let's go back over to Mark Dillard. Mark, do you have a visual on it currently?
Yes, Mike, I do. I believe I can make out the definition on what would be the southern side of the wedge here. It's going to be that darkest part. Zoom in just a little bit. As I'm coming towards these traffic lights, you're probably going to lose it here. But it's going to be that darkest part just to the south side here. I've got a cloud on the front. The collar cloud is wrapping from south to north around it. So it's most definitely got a tornado signature to it on radar and on the ground from the helicopter. They're blowing the sirens at Norman right now. I urge people on the west side of Norman over to the I-35 corridor and then east. You've got a little bit of time now, but you don't have much. West Norman undercover now. West Norman undercover now. Mike, I'm at 36 and Main. I'm going north. I'll try to cut it off and get ahead of it a little bit. But it's coming into West Norman right now. We need folks in their tornado shelter right now. That's the bottom line. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that, Mark. Okay, so the tornado earlier up by Tuttle has lifted. There's no tornado going into Moore at all. It is lifted. That tornado is 100% totally gone and will not come back up here in Moore. But there is some big hail. It's cycled, and now the new tornado is now coming into West Norman. It just crossed the river. And so you folks in Moore, other than some large hail from downtown south, that's going to be the severe weather you're going to experience. Norman is a completely different story. Let's go over to Bob Moore Chopper 4 with John Welsh and take a live view. Now, it's actually in West Norman right now. What do you have, John?
Yeah, Mike, it's really hard for us to see. I was trying to break away from it here. Let me get set up here. It's hard to define exactly where it is on the ground. If we had to guess, obviously, we would say north of Maine, at about somewhere around Robinson, maybe even just a little bit north of Robinson here. That's kind of where we lost it at. That's where there's still a lot of heavy rain coming in there. But it is not a complete funnel all the way to the ground, so it kind of makes it hard at this altitude for us to be able to see exactly where it is until it starts to kind of pick up something or give us something to differentiate the, obviously the clouds from the actual funnel there, Mike.
This is still Emily. She's on.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the north DOP, and it's going to come into the neighborhoods here between Robinson and Maine. Maine up to Robinson, could go up to Rock Creek. Here's I-35. This is West Norman. It's just now crossing the river. It's coming into West Norman right now. So it doesn't appear to be a 4 or a 5. It looks to be maybe a 2 or so, but that could go up. It could go down. Let's go back over to the live chopper view, and let's talk to Mark Dillard here. Mark, what do you have?
Yes, Mike. The area I'm at, I do not have anything to really in contact with the ground that I can make out. I do have an area of lowering here. I do have an area of a rapid rotation off to my west. It's going to be west, kind of southwest. I'm on 60th now. Just coming up north from Main Street. There's a funnel in there wrapped up in rain, but I can't tell if it's in contact with the ground, Mike. Let me get parked here and get you a good shot. Although it is coming into the west side of Norman, down in the basically down in the river valley where there's a lot of hay farms down here, sod farms. That's where it's at. Back to you.
Okay, Mark, appreciate that. Let's go to Emily Sutton. She's been in the damage from the earlier tornado. Let's get an update from Emily. Emily, what do you have?
Hi, Mike. We are heading east on the spur, heading towards I-35, and I think we may be getting into position if the rain backs off a little bit to maybe see something eventually. But, Mike, it was discouraging. We had a swath, I'd say 1.5 miles to 2 miles long of damage, and I counted at least a dozen cars impacted. We had possibly up to EF3 damage because a few structures were completely obliterated. Granted, I think they were weaker farm-like structures, but almost all the highway signs were snapped in half. Thank goodness all the people we encountered where their cars took a direct hit to the tornado. Thank goodness they are safe. But we saw some other cars completely in a ditch, another 18-wheeler caught off in a ditch as well, and of course huge trees. And it even had parts of, I would say the tolls were actually impacted. They're going to have some damage repair there. Lots of big trucks, too, caught in the storm.
Okay, Emily, appreciate that report. That's the damage from the earlier tornado. Let's go to Max 2, and that tornado has lifted. There's no tornado in southeast Newcastle near Bridge Creek or the Bailey or more. No tornado. It is 100% gone away. Meanwhile, we have the tornado continuing now. It's on Robinson at, it looks like at about Western Avenue. Western and Robinson. Tornado continues on the ground at Western and Robinson in Norman right now. Tornado emergency continues for Norman. So you folks in Norman, that tornado safety precaution, keep doing that. Storm cellar, basement, interior closet, or bathroom, yes, at least. Storm cellar, basement, safe room, best. Let's go back to Bob Moore, Chopper 4. Go, John.
Yeah, Mike, right now it's got to be right in here in this area because as we come and show you, that water tower, I believe, is right there on Rock Creek. And so we're showing you about 2 miles wide here as we shoot off towards the west. We're facing south. And you can see that, that storm coming in. And if you look in the clouds right there about the left side of the screen, funnel that is kind of came down, but it's not complete to the ground. So that's what's kind of made it hard to see, and the rain has been covering it up. However, where it's making it a little easier to see as Travis pushes in there. We'll be able to adjust the light here in just a second, give it just a little bit more definition. One of the things we have been looking for on the ground is power flashes, as it appears it's crossed probably 60th Street coming into 48th Street West here, just going to be north of just north of Lindsay here. As it continues to track towards the east, it looks like if it stays on its current track, it's going to be just north of the Sooner Mall. It's going to come and hit just the south side of the mile of cars there and cross the Lowe's, as everybody's familiar with, kind of north of the Walmart area there on I-35. It still appears to be probably 2 miles west of I-35, as you can kind of see. Travis, go back to your left just a little bit. Right there, you can kind of see it looks like it's on. Where it has came, we're not seeing power flashes, and I'm actually still seeing some street lights and lamps behind it. Doesn't mean that it's not on the ground. It just means that it might not be strong enough to start snapping all these lines here. So as it continues to come, it's about a mile west of I, just north of the Sooner Mall here, and head right for basically.
John, go ahead and push in. Go ahead and push in down there into those wrapping rain curtains. And let's see what you have. It looks like it's on the northern side of Robinson at Western Avenue, and it is still on the ground. It looks like it's about an F2. It looks like it's about an F2 just on the northern side of Robinson at Western Avenue in those neighborhoods. If we can, let's go back to Mark Dillard with an update. Mark is tracking it as well. I think it's about an F2, maybe a high-end F1, but that could go either way. Just looking at the velocities here, just north of Robinson at Western Avenue on the ground in West Norman. What do you have, Mark?
Yes, Mike, I've got curtains that are wrapping into it now. My winds, I just cut right in front of it. I've got lifting rain, wrapping rain curtains now. I'm on 48th, just back north of Maine now. I just went through Robinson, came south, right ahead of it. It's as John said, it's not popping lines or transformers right now, so the intensity may not be that great here at the ground level. It's just a wrapping curtain situation. It's the Arbor Lake edition now crossing over 48 over toward Robinson, and as he said, it should go just to the north of the mall area here in West Norman. I'm passing Manor Hill and 48, and it's off to my north and east now. It has cleared 48, and it's off to my north and east. Mike, back to you.
Okay, so what we have is the earlier tornado, which was quite large. That one has totally gone away. The storm cycled, and a new tornado formed rapidly down in South Newcastle and has come across into West Norman. It looks like it might be about an F1 right now. We don't see any popping power lines, but it does appear to be still on the ground at about Western Avenue on the northern side of Robinson Avenue, but it looks like it might be about an F1, which will be a pretty weak tornado. That would be really good news. But a tornado warning still very much continues for Norman. It looks like it will likely go just north of the Norman campus and up toward Max Westheimer. Let's go back to Bob Moore, Chopper 4 here live. John?
Yeah, Mike, we're making a turn here, and Western is actually 60th Street here in Norman, if everybody's kind of familiar with that area. So Western and same street, and we kind of made a turn here. We're shooting back towards it, and that's going to be like 1 mile or so east of the river right there. So it's going to be starting to get in the populated area. The scud or something that we were shooting that I kind of thought that could have been the tornado earlier is now over the mall areas. Travis kind of shoots back in there. There's actually a little bit of lowering in front of it. However, at this time, like I said, we're not seeing any power flashes, and we have not seen a clear definition, though, Mike.
Okay, it looks like it's going to go right over Max Westheimer, I-35. They're shutting it down. So it's back here in the rain. John, let's look for some power flashes. We can take Max 1, too. Here's a view from Max Westheimer, Max 1. And there's the feeder band coming in. The tornado's back in here. It's right there. There it is right there. That's a view from Max Westheimer. So there's the tornado right back in there. Let's go back to the chopper. So, John, you have not seen any power flashes back in that rain. Is that correct? Again, coming right into Max Westheimer. Yeah. It's about a half-mile west of I-35 right now. What do you see in that exact location?
Yeah, that is correct. Right now, I'm just seeing neighborhoods still with their lights on. We're seeing, as Travis is showing you right there, the definition from the top of it. And it looks like if it stays on its current track, it's going to go right just south of the Embassy Suites. There at the, they built all those stores there, the Academy and other stores there, just on the east side of I-35. It appears it's going to track just right along there. And behind the storm, or behind the area we're talking about, what I can see is still lights that are turned on. So we haven't seen any complete blackout. So, sometimes you might miss the power flash, but you wouldn't miss the block of lights behind it. And all the lights have been coming on as it's getting dark.
Okay, it's at 48th between Robinson and Rock Creek. 48th now between Robinson and Rock Creek is where the tornado is right now. 48th between...
Go to Mark.
Go to Mark Dillard. Go, Mark Dillard.
Yes, Mike. I think it's starting to ramp up a little bit. I'm turning now. I've got more of a more well-defined lowering or funnel area. I'm going to be on 30. Just one moment, Mike. I'm going to be on coming off of Robinson at 36 now, and it looks like it's ramping up, Mike. I've got my winds picking up. I've got wrapping curtains going into it. It's going to be just to my north here, back toward Rock Creek. Folks on now North Norman, South Moore, heads up. This is your time to take your tornado precautions. Bottom line, we've had an intermittent tornado on the ground here coming through the south side of the metro in Norman and Moore. Now, Mike, I've got a large American flag that it's almost a full span here. Go as this might have had a power flash. Mike.
Yeah, it's in between 36th Mark and 48th on the northern side of Rock Creek, and it is on the ground. It's about an F1. Power flashes. We're talking about Victoria Road, Chelsea Drive, Kent Street, Sloan Street, Dolores Drive, H.E. Black Drive. So it's on the northern side of Rock Creek and just south of Tecumseh Road. So it's lifting a little more to the north. It's going to go over central and northern Max Westheimer Airport. It is on the ground in those neighborhoods right now. Probably an F1, Mark.
Yeah, you're looking at it right now, Mike. I've got debris lifting out toward me and past me now on 36. I've got a lot of tree damage. I've got debris blowing in toward the tornado. This is going to be heading toward the water tower on the north side of Rock Creek. Power flash, large power flashes. This fit, Mike, coming to the ground right now. This is it. Folks, you got to be ready for it. Mike's getting big. I got trees coming down on me and power flashes. I got to back out of here. I got trees coming down on me.
Wow.
Back it out, Mike. Back it out.
Mark Dillard is in at least an F1 tornado right now. It's just to the south. It's in North Norman right now. At least F1, might be an F2. And let's go back to Mark Dillard's stream. He's in the tornado right now in Norman. Go, Mark.
Yeah, power flashes. I've got power flashes in front of me. It is really cranking down, folks. I got tree damage. It is coming down right on top of us here. I'm just to the north of Rock Creek and on 36 here in West Norman. Got a lot of power flashes going toward the I-35 corridor now, over toward the airport on the north side of Max Westheimer. And it is a maelstrom out here, Mike. Whoa, hang on. It's back. Mike, it is trying to move the car on me here. It is bad news.
Yeah,
it's really
you're definitely in it.
Mike.
It's going to cross I-35 at Tecumseh Road, and it's going to do so in about 15 to 20 seconds. Mark Dillard, let's just hope he's safe here, because he's actually in here about an F1, maybe a weak F2. Inside of it, this is in North Norman. It's gone through the neighborhoods in North Norman. Obviously, there is damage, and he is actually in the tornado here itself in his storm tracking vehicle. You're looking at it live here from on the west side of I-35 at Tecumseh Road is where that vortex in about 15, 20, 30 seconds is going to cross Interstate 35 on the northern edge of Max Westheimer Airport, not too far south of the old York plant. So a little way south of Southmore. It's going through North Norman. Go, Mark Dillard.
Yes, Mike, it is cranking down right now. I've got a lot of debris. I'm going through the Walmart grocery parking lot now. I've got an immense amount of damage just to ancillary, buildings and signs. It is really cranking down, Mike. The RFD is tremendous on the backside of this thing as it is cranking down right now. I'm going over on Robinson now, trying to get over to Rock Creek, trying to get over to I-35. We had power flashes, and we've got debris in the air, Mike. This is wrapping up in rain very rapidly as well. Back to you.
Okay, let's go to Emily Sutton here. Let's take Mark Dillard's stream. Keep Mark Dillard's stream. Let's go to Emily. Emily, what do you have?
Hey, Mike, we're at the spur and I-35. You're looking to the north, and we have noted about 3 power flashes. It's challenging to see the tornado, but I can kind of make out the condensation funnel at times. So it's getting ready to cross I-35. Probably 3 power flashes. So we're watching it from a distance. We're high up, so we have a pretty good view of it, although I will say, folks, don't try and go out to look at it because it's going to be very challenging to see. But yeah, definitely some defined power flashes. Gearing up to cross I-35, so probably want to stay off.
Emily, appreciate that. Hank Baker is at Robinson and I-35 looking at it as well. Hank, what do you have?
Hey, Mike, I'm at I-35 in Robinson, and it looks like a really broad, wide circulation. I've got some vortices that have hit the ground and blowing shingles off of apartments, etc., in having debris in the air. It's very visible right now. The back side of the circulation looks like it's still just to the west and fixing to cross I-35, even though I've had vortices already go across I-35. I'm at mile marker 111, and it's rapidly rotating. It looks to me like it's moving almost due east. Mike, back to you.
Hank, appreciate that. Here's Mark Dillard's stream live. Again, tornado continues in Norman. It's in North Norman. It's about an F1, maybe a weak F2, and this is all still on the ground. Here's one side of it. The other side of it is right here, North Max Westheimer. It's crossing Interstate 35 literally right now, power flashes. Mark Dillard's been in the tornado. He's still on the edge of it right now. Mark, tell us about it.
Yes, Mike, got a little bit of damage to my vehicle here. It took off basically the cover to the rear view mirrors. Got a little close there, but it is really starting to crank down and get its act together again in what I would call, Mike, once again, a very, very large suction vortice area. The front side has suction vortices. The back side is now trying to crank down a separate funnel, possibly even a satellite, down on the back side here. This is bad news. I'm at 24th Northwest in Rock Creek on the very, very northwest side of the Max Westheimer Airfield. It's crossing I-35 as we speak. So just north of all this new development, there's that large National Guard armory area there. And then it's the 77 and flood wrap back into I-35 and then the curve. So it's going to be south more, north Norman. This is it. You've got to take your tornado precautions right now. This is a large and violent tornado, Mike. Had a lot of tree damage, high line, power line damage back there, and an immense amount of loose item damage like signage and whatnot. I didn't see, per se, structural damage, but I didn't really have time to hang around and wait for it to hit something because it's cranking down right now. But, again, a very broad area of circulation. Again, my carousel effect, you'll have eddies of circulation coming down, and then you've got to get through that front side, and then the back side hammers you. It's pretty rough if you're right in the middle of it. I can guarantee it. Back to you.
Yeah, it definitely is getting into more of a larger tornado here, and this is one half of it right here. The other half is in through here. So this whole thing here is the tornado. It's pretty big, and it's at least F2, so it has been definitely ramping up into that F2, F3 range, and this is Interstate 35 is where Mark is right now, so it's over I-35. Let's go to the storm tracker. Again, this is North Norman. It'll stay, you folks, in far southeast more and over towards Stella and Draper Lake. That's where it's heading. Here's 89th right here. So the big hail begins at about 89th Street. Down through Moore. This is still some big hail here. Golf balls, might be some tennis balls. And that's in Moore, especially Central Moore, South Moore. And the tornado just crossed over I-35, heading for now northeast Norman, just immediately on the southeast side of the old York plant, over into the Stella Draper Lake area. So that's where the tornado is. It's not in Oklahoma County. It's in Cleveland County in North Norman right now, moving to the east-northeast at around 25 miles per hour. Let's go to Bob Moore Chopper 4. Tornado still on the ground. Might be F2. Might even be a borderline F3. It's a significant tornado for sure. John Welsh.
Yeah, Mike, it is. We're seeing a lot of power flashes from up here, and it's actually gotten bigger. There for a while, it was hard to see. Then it got really defined. And now I can tell you all the scud clouds around it and all the lowerings that are coming in there are all rotating, and it's getting a lot bigger here. It appears that it's sucking in all the energy as it continues to track to the northeast. Right there in the bottom of your shot, that's the 23rd, the armory there that is right there on I-35 just north of Tecumseh, and so it's crossed that. It's fixing to cross into about Indian Hills, and probably just east of I-35 is where it appears it's at right now there, Mike.
Okay, John, appreciate that. Again, this is North Norman. Mike Gray's southeast more. It's in here. Here's part of it right here. There's rain involved in the circulation. I can't really see the other side of it, but it has been getting bigger, and it might be F2, could be F3, maybe lower end F3, but it's a moderate tornado, fairly large, is what it's been doing right now. Let's go back to Mark Dillard. Continue your tornado safety precautions, North Norman, over to Draper Lake and Stella. Mark Dillard's been in the tornado. You're still on the edge of it right now.
Yes, Mike, and now we're getting hammered and wrapped up in a lot of rain. The Norman Hospital, there, that newer Norman Hospital that's on the north side of Norman was directly in the path of this. I'm hoping that they were able to get their tornado precautions in time to get patients away from windows and to safe locations. But the rain is now wrapping in on this thing, Mike. I'm going to have to cut back south of Robinson, try to cut over ahead of it again. This is North Norman at Max Westheimer Field, cross I-35, and now heading east-northeast with a large amount of rotation. It's a very, very broad rotation with a lot of rain wrapping into it. You're not going to see it, folks. It's not a textbook funnel whatsoever. I'll
tell you what's changed. Let's go over to the North Dop. It's lifting more to the north. It's over the old York plant right now, right where 77 branches off of I-35. So it's lifting more northerly. It was back over 36th and Tecumseh, which is located here. Well, now it's up here. So if you draw a straight line from that, it's going to try to clip southeast more as it lifts to the north. It's at the old York plant right now is where it is. I imagine the vortex is actually over the old York plant. So that's where the tornado is. It's definitely lifting more to the north. That's a little debris ball right there, a little bit of debris ball inflow here, but a debris ball there. So it actually centered, the center of it might still be on the west side of I-35. It's actually kind of looping back in on itself. So it's continuing to drift more northerly now. Let's go back to Bob Moore Chopper 4. You folks in South Moore, that's a heads up for you, especially from South 19th Street southward. John Welsh.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. Like you said about the York plant, looks like it's kind of crossing. Like Mark said, it's completely wrapped in rain. It's got to be, we're getting a lot of the blue hues in here, which would indicate there's a lot of hail in there as it continues to track to the east. And like you said, if you're south of 19th Street or 149th, both the same street, take your precautions, because it appears from our vantage point that it's kind of leveled off and is almost going more east and less north here, Mike.
Okay, I'll tell you what. So John, tell us again, let's try to get our bearings here. And you're looking at a lot of rain involved in that tornado. Do we have Mark Dillard's stream? It might be right in through there, but boy, there's a lot of rain inside of it. Mark Dillard, are you still with it? It's lifting to the north.
Mike.
Yeah, go Mark Dillard.
Yeah. Mike, I've had to come completely south out of it. You just cannot see anything at the ground level. Try to keep up with it on these roads down here without just being right on the periphery of the circulation. I'm going back toward Flood. I'm on the south side of Max Westheimer, looking off to my north, and it just looks like bad news, Mike. It's a very, very large area of circulation all the way down to the ground with wrapping curtains of rain. And then inside of that, the winds at the ground level were every bit of 100 plus on top of me. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, so Plaza Towers is located right there. More high schools right here. Look how it's lifting north. It's lifting north, and it's a broad circulation. It's probably F1, maybe F2, but it's a broad circulation, but it's almost lifting due northward on the interstate. Again, on I-35, it's lifting due northward. There's a little bit of a weak area, almost a little eye there in the middle of it, but it has rain all involved inside of it. So it easily could be just like an F1, but difficult, could be higher, could be lower. Might be about an F1, but it definitely is just drifting north, going up I-35, up to almost South 19th Street. John Welsh, what do you see about a mile south of South 19th Street over I-35? Likely still on the ground, trying to come into far south more right now. What do you have?
Yeah, right there, Travis, if you'll go ahead and zoom in and then go to your left. That's 19th Street right there. So I think really all I have is just a lot of rain here. The shelf cloud that's in front
you kind of can see the side of it right there. Have Travis zoom out just a hair. You can kind of see the side of it. See it right there. You can kind of see the side of it coming down, and then it's got rain all in the middle of it. That's I-35. So yes, John is looking south. He's hovering over South Moore. He's looking south, and it's right here in the middle of that picture. John, can you see any power flashes in that?
No, we can't, Mike. We're getting a lot of lightning just north of there, which sometimes kind of can appear that it's a power flash, but it is a lot of lightning. That road that we just flew over there, that's Tecumseh. We're coming up on Franklin next. And so right in that area is, like you said, where the tornado is. In front of it, we're not seeing anything but just some rotating scud and some light rain. But as far as the actual tornado, it's so hard to see just because of all the rain and the hail that's falling in there, Mike.
I tell you, it's now lifting up. It's a mile south. It's at 164th Street South and Interstate 35. Let's go to the North Doppler, and it is weaker. There's no doubt about it, which is good. You know, we can have, you know, F0s all day long as we don't have F4s. You know, as far as just weaker, it's definitely good. It's weaker, and it's all involved in rain. And it's right over the York plant, now up to between Indian Hill and 164th Street. But it is trying to lift into more, be the kind of tornado that produce shingle damage down power lines and trees and things like that. But it basically is just drifting and lifting north and slightly east. But it is not as strong as it was when you saw Mark Dillard in it, when it might have approached the high-end F2, very low-end F3 about 15 minutes ago. But it is still in that rain right there. Basically, John Welsh over the York plant. Mark Dillard, if you're still with us, tell us what you have right now. Likely still on the ground, but weak.
Yes, Mike, I'm having to get all the way over on Robinson here to try to go north on, let's see, this is going to be 12th Avenue Northeast. Over here by the park and by the Griffin Hospital area. And we're going to go north. We're going to go north from here back and try to tap back into it again, Mike. Again, folks, if you're in the path of this thing, the best thing to do is to hunker down and get to your safe spot. It's just not a textbook tornadic situation by any means whatsoever. It's got multiple vortexes that come down, spin around a centralized circulation area with a ton of rain in front of it, Mike. At times it's so blinding we can't even see it, and we're literally right here with it. And I'm having to work around the streets of the traffic a little bit as well. I want to commend the Norman police. They seem to have been able to block off key intersections ahead of time, which was a really good thing. But again, Mike, we're heading back towards it. I've got what I describe as that kind of a carousel of lowerings here. Nothing's real well defined, but that entire thing is circulating. And when it collects that rain in on it and wraps up, you're just not going to see it coming. Back to you.
Okay, appreciate that. Likely still a tornado, but weak in North Norman, far south more right now. And Mark Dillard's looking at it here. This is the lower part of the circulation here. It's been wrapped up in rain. It's not as strong as it was earlier, but still tornado warning continues for South Moore and North Norman in particular. And it may be in the F0 to F1 range, the way it looks right now. Let's go to the North Doppler, take a look at it. We'll show you the exact location of it. And it's still lifting northbound. It's almost completely stalled out. And it's just kind of spinning down over far North Norman and far South Moore. Involved in rain, a lot of rain there over the York plant. Here's Norman High School, and there's Moore High School right there. This is Highway 37, West Moore there. Hail sizes may be coming down as well. I think this storm is by and large weakening on many, many fronts. So let's tell you what, let's go over, I think our storm trackers are in the Enid area. Let's go over to Max 3. And if you have Reed Timmer or Mike Bennett, let's go ahead and transition here from this over to Pond Creek up in Grant County, north of Enid. Still a tornado warning here. Mike Bennett, give us an update on this storm in Grant County. What do you have?
Yeah, Mike, we've been tracking this storm. We're just west of Pond Creek, 4 miles now. It's got a large rain-free base on. I don't see any local rotation, okay, like we've had several times today. We've had multiple funnels, multiple brief touchdowns. We had 2 tight rotations that went right over the top of Carrier. I thought Carrier was getting ready to take a direct hit. Didn't happen. Went right over the top of it. We're going to maybe refocus our attention now to the storm that's over around Goldtree and Jet and Nash area. It looks like the rotation's a little tighter on it on radar. I'll let you advise me on that. Back to you.
Okay, appreciate that. Let's go to the storm tracker. Let's come back down here to central Oklahoma. Now, so what we have right here, I kind of broadened this out. So here's the weakening tornado in far south Moore. Now, these storms here are supercells, and they do have mid-level rotation with them back to the southwest of Oklahoma City. So there's no tornado warnings on them. However, they do have mid-level rotation, which means they may have some pretty good size hail with them. They are increasing in intensity. So we're going to be tracking these carefully. Minko, Tuttle, we still have some storm trackers back here, northwest of Chickasha as well. These may come into the metro and potentially produce some additional hail, but we'll track those very carefully and keep an eye on them very carefully as well. Right now, no severe thunderstorm warnings with them, no tornado warnings with them. Still this tornado warning for South Moore and North Norman. So let's go over to Bob Moore Chopper 4 for an update. This is in the South Metro. Go, John Welsh.
Yeah, Mike, we're about Tecumseh 72nd, kind of shooting back to where.
So if you want that, do you want? Let's go over to Max 3. Let's go over to Max 3. And yes, what's left of the rotation here, it's not very strong, but is now just on the east side of I-35, north of Indian Hill Road, and just south of South 164th, I think this is, on the east side of I-35. Not very strong. I'd say that's likely a weakening F0 now, the way it looks right now. So Tiffany Drive. So there's the Warren Theater. It's going to be about 2.5 to 3 miles southeast of the Warren Theater. That's what's left of the tornado. There's a chance that now has even lifted and is no longer on the ground, although officially the tornado warning continues in effect. But there's a chance that is lifted and may not be on the ground. If we go back to the chopper here, let's take a look from the chopper and see what we have right here. John Welsh.
Yeah, Mike, that's the area that you're talking about, and as Travis zooms in there, we're not seeing any power flashes or anything that would really indicate that it is still, if that it is still on the ground. And if it is, it's going to be pretty weak. We're seeing a lot of heavy rain there, but we're not seeing anything as far as a twisting or a rotating motion there, Mike. So just from our vantage point, it appears that it has lifted.
Okay, appreciate that from the chopper. So what we have going on here, and we'll go ahead and go to the Max 2. I think this tornado is lifted over here at about 164th, just to the northeast of the York plant in far southeast Moore. Now, it still may produce winds around 75, 80 miles per hour, but it is not a significant tornado if it's on the ground. It's probably an F0, might even be lifted. It is involved in a lot of rain just to the about a mile east of I-35, about 3 miles southeast, 2.5, 3 miles southeast of the Warren Theater. So that's the latest with that storm. Now, there is still some golf ball size hail, might be a little bigger than golf balls, in southeast Moore over approaching Sunny Lane and Sooner Avenues, roads over there to the east of downtown Moore. Could still be bigger than golf balls there, a little ways west of Draper Lake. So still a supercell, still a severe storm. The tornado may have lifted. Right now, don't see any strong indication that that's going to be changing anytime real soon. So in terms of any additional tornadic activity, may or may not happen, but right now, definitely on the downhill trend as far as significant tornadoes inside that storm. Let's go to Mark Dillard for ground truth on that. And Mark, tell us what you got.
Yes, Mike, a little bit of hail and a lot of rain wrapping back in on this thing. I just got onto southeast 164th, coming from Sooner here, and just off to my north. We still have a area of kind of broad circulation. Kind of looked like to me maybe a funnel was trying to start to form back together. I've got to get out of these trees to take a look at it again, but it's been quite a day as far as tornadic activity, Mike. There's no doubt. And I'm just hoping that everybody was able to take shelter when they could. So it's got a large area of circulation centers. Nothing very, very broad like back at Max Westheimer just a few minutes ago. Just a couple of large lowerings here, very, very broad and ragged, and I don't have anything well-defined or large amount of inflow going into it, Mike, so maybe we're on the downhill slide here, hopefully. Back to you.
Yeah, I hope so. That was the Embassy Suites Hotel out there to the west side of Max Westheimer on I-35 that suffered damage back on Max 1 here. The tornado went right over that exact location, so you're essentially looking at, F1, maybe F2 tornado damage here. There's all sorts of things here in the parking lot. Some debris in the parking lots. Can't tell if those windows are blown out or not. Cars look like they might have been pushed around a little bit. So again, that's right where the tornado went, and that's what you would expect to see based on what we were tracking in real time as the tornado came into North and West Norman. Talking about F1, F2 type tornadoes.
Warning for the storm moving towards Moore and Tinker.
Okay, so they're going to continue the tornado warning for southeast Moore. They're going to continue that tornado warning. Let's go back over to Max 3. Let's go look at 3. So tornado warning continuing, and it's not a real strong indication of a significant tornado here, but southeast Moore. Over and around Sooner and Sunny Lane Avenues to the west of Draper Lake. So indications are here still tornado possible, but it doesn't appear to be, the end of the world as far as a big tornado or a really strong tornado, but still potential there to get F0, F1 type indications here just to the east of I-35, about a mile and a half southeast and east of the Warren Theater. Those are the neighborhoods in southeast Moore and East Moore. So that is a brand new tornado warning in effect for southeast and east Moore for sure, and it is lifting slowly to the north and north-northeast. Say that again, Lance. Let's go to Bob Moore Chopper 4 here in that exact area. John Welsh.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike, we're showing you the area. However, though, it's really hard for us to tell because, like it's been all day, everything is wrapped in rain. As Travis will kind of zoom in there a little bit, we haven't seen any power flashes. And we haven't seen a lot or any debris or any defined funnel here with this particular storm. However, the downfall to this one is everything's wrapped in rain, like Mark's been talking about all afternoon, that these are non-typical and kind of hard to see. So if you're in the area, I would go ahead and take my tornado precautions. However, at this time, from our vantage point, we can't confirm that anything is on the ground, though, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that. Still showing a pretty good area of circulation at Air Depot and Sooner Road over at Southeast 19th. So Southeast 19th, Air Depot and Sooner Road. You know, John, I would say by looking at the latest radar shot, I would say that might be actually ramping back up. And I'm really talking about just in the past 60 seconds or so. Let's go back to the chopper shot. I think that's ramping back up. And there may be a new tornado just now starting to touch down at that location. So I would say over there by Air Depot and up to about 89th Street, just south of Tinker. You folks, I would say definitely that is ramping back up. And there may be tornadic activity redeveloping with that right now. Mark Dillard's live. Mark?
Yes, Mike. I'm at Douglas in southeast 149th. And as you were talking to the chopper, right after I described that I could see all the way underneath it, then that's when it started to fill back in again, and I could no longer see all the way underneath it and through it, meaning to me that it started to tighten the rain back up around it, and it could be coming back down to the ground, or at least the circulation center is starting to focalize again and lock up. So folks now around the south side of the Tinker area, Lake Draper, heads up. Go to your tornado safe spot, because this thing has been intermittent all day, whether it's on the ground or not. But I do have rain starting to wrap up. And let me look at this thing now, Mike. I've got a more well-defined definition here of this, at least the base of the cloud, I believe, right along southeast 149th, just off to the north. I'm heading back west from Douglas, and it's going to be off to my north here. Back to you.
Okay, appreciate that. Let's take a step back, give you an overview for the entire state as to what we have going on right now. So, as we go to Max 2, tornado watch continues in green. 1 tornado warning, east more, up toward Draper Lake and south, we'll call it southwest Choctaw, because it does include southeast Oklahoma County up into the Tinker area, okay? Southeast Oklahoma County, yes, tornado warning. If you're up in Edmond and you hear sirens, that's why. Because the tornado warning is in effect for southeastern Oklahoma County down by South 89th Street in East Moore and the Lake Draper area up to about Tinker and far southeast Del City and South Midwest City. 1 tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm warning now, yes, has gone out for these storms now approaching southwest Oklahoma City. Will Rogers has reopened, apparently, as of a couple of minutes ago. Will Rogers Airport has reopened, and we have severe thunderstorm warnings up here for Major County and also Alfalfa and Grant counties. So, yes, this is ramping back up. In between Moore and Draper Lake, definitely ramping back up. So you folks in Choctaw, stay alert up here. You know, when you're in the path of these things, it may or may not, lift for good or not. So you folks in Choctaw, Tinker Diagonal area, far south Midwest City, stay alert. Tornado warning has been reissued for you, and that's definitely ramping back up. So you see there's southeast Oklahoma County, here is Cleveland County, and East Moore, Draper Lake up into Air Depot and Midwest Boulevards over there eventually toward Choctaw. You folks stay alert. Now, these storms are severe. They do have some mid-level rotation with them, which means the hail sizes could go up to about golf ball size. They're coming back into Tuttle, Pocasset, Amber. They may affect Newcastle and southwest Oklahoma City. They are severe, not tornadic. Not right now. No tornado warnings with them. These are now severe, not tornadic, up here in Alfalfa County, north of Cherokee, and also near Medford and north of Pond Creek and west of Pond Creek, south of Waukeeta. Those are severe. Right now, no tornado warning with them. Ray Timmer and Mike Bennett have been on those. And also this area up there by the Kansas border near Byron, up in far northern Oklahoma. And here is the metro shot right there showing that one big supercell. Let's go back to the North Doppler, take a look at it. And it's going to be in effect here. The circulation center now is over East Moore. Let's go back to Bob Moore, Chopper 4 here live.
Yeah, Mike, right now it's really hard to see in the rain. We've kind of picked a new spot here just south of the storm we're watching. We're over Franklin, shooting about a mile just to the north of there. So we'll be shooting, I guess, Indian Hills area. We're seeing some of that rotating scud area. However, it's kind of rotating a lot faster than it has in the past. So we're kind of watching the ground in that area. Obviously, still heavy rain. We've kind of tried to sneak around to the backside of this storm to see, to follow the one that was going along 149th Street. Maybe get a little better light.
Okay, John Welsh right there. Let's go back to the North Doppler and take a look at where this is. So what we have with this is we have a supercell here. Boy, I tell you what, that banner's, I've got to move the radar here. Let's go back to Mark Dillard. And Mark Dillard, Air Depot, Midwest Boulevard at about North 12th Street in Far East Moore. What do you have right now?
Well, Mike, I'm just passing Post on the southeast 29th. I'm on the south end of Lake Draper. And looking back to my north here, I've got in that large area of circulation, whether or not it's in contact completely with the ground or it's just those wrapping rain curtains, and basically small funnels that kind of circulate around on the ground beneath it. See anything in contact with the ground, a large amount of rain with this thing, and some lightning now too. But I just didn't confirm anything in contact with the ground. It's going to basically pass over there right now.
Unfortunately, it's just on the edge. Mark, appreciate that. I'm showing a little donut hole on radar, which I think is probably a tornado on the ground. This is going to be at Midwest Boulevard at about 4th Street in Far East Moore. Midwest Boulevard and 4th Street in Far East Moore. Let's go back to Bob Moore Chopper 4. John Welsh, I'd say that's probably back on the ground again. Midwest Boulevard, what would that be, about south 119th Street, maybe just south of there, Midwest Boulevard.
Okay, yeah, Mike, we're shooting that particular area right there, but as you can see from our shot, we're probably about 4 or 5, we're showing you 4 or 5 miles from the left to the right, and it's just so heavily wrapped in rain. Travis will go ahead and zoom in there. He can show you kind of the base of it. If it is in there, it's going to be probably a pretty high base storm because that particular part of the area, it appears that the rain has cooled it down enough and the clouds have actually rose, the base of the clouds have rose. Towards the left of it or back towards the west, it appears that that's kind of the more area that would have some close circulation. However, though, if it is at that spot that we're looking at there at Midwest, it's going to be completely wrapped in rain. We won't be.
Yeah, it looks like you can occasionally see it kind of dropping down inside the rain right there. Let's go back over to the North Doppler. And so what this means is it looks like it's a weak tornado, but there's the eyes right there, that little tiny pixel there of green on the east side of Midwest Boulevard at about 119th Street south, maybe a little bit south of that location by a few blocks. But I'd say that's probably a little F0, F1 inside that wrapping rain curtain right through there. So this is going to be Tinker here. Here's Carl Albert High School up here. This is 89th right here, Air Depot, Midwest, Douglas Avenues. And that's where the tornado warning is, and that's likely where the tornado's located. This is Sooner, and this is going to be I-35 way over here. There's Moore High School there. This is Hale, Valley Brook, golf balls probably, golf balls in through here. The old GM plant. And then up here toward the Tinker diagonal is where that's heading. It's just gradually lifting to the northeast. So it may indeed cross into Oklahoma County somewhere out around Post Road or Douglas, or maybe even out toward Anderson Road. So that's the northern sides of Draper Lake is where that is right now. Mark Dillard's been tracking this all the way through Norman. He's been on this storm. Let's get an update from Mark Dillard. Mark, tell us what you have.
Yes, Mike, I'm trying to negotiate around Draper here. I've got just that large area of circulation from time to time. Kind of looks like it might try to ramp back up, but there's just such an immense amount of rain out here, Mike. It's very difficult. You take one look at it, and then you can see it. Another look at it, it's gone. But right now, you're kind of getting a look at what I can see here on my stream, which is just this broad area of several lowerings here, which is basically just being, continuously turned along as it crosses over Lake Draper right now. I don't have a lot of inflow winds at the ground that would be, jetting into the tornado circulation, which at the ground, that's what you typically look for, that the tornado begins to ramp back up. Don't have that right now. I don't have any power flashes. So we're just kind of cruising along with it here, Mike, as it crosses the Lake Draper area in what is southeast Oklahoma City and south of Midwest City. Back to you.
Okay, appreciate that. Again, so what you're looking at here is just an area that's completely wrapped up in rain. So you see this kind of hazy area. These are rain curtains that are spinning. and there's some hail embedded in that as well. And inside of those, there's occasionally a little F0, maybe an F1 in there. There is a tornado warning continuing with it in effect. And let's go ahead and take a look at Max, what is that, Max 1, showing pictures from some of our viewers. That was the hotel, by the way, north of Sooner Fashion Mall that we showed a while ago. It wasn't the Embassy Suites, the one just to the west of I-35. So this is from Franklin and 12th Street about 5 minutes ago, showing that area of rotation down there near Draper Lake. So give you an idea of what that looks like from the ground point of view currently. Okay, so as we go to Max 2, we can kind of broaden out and take an overview here. Still probably a little F0, might be a little F1 lifting. It's about ready to come into Oklahoma County, and it's right here just to the south of 89th Street currently. That's why the sirens are going off in much of Oklahoma City right now. It's for a storm that is out down by South 89th Street, south of Midwest City and south of Del City, and to the east of Moore. It's for that storm. Now, as far as other storms, there are a few severe storms back here. Now, these have golf balls with them. They have some mid-level rotation with them as well, but there are no tornado warnings with those storms right now. Northern Oklahoma, these are severe. There are no tornado warnings. Hail up here, golf ball, maybe some tennis ball size hailstones coming into Medford, likely golf balls with that one. This one's a little stronger here. Might have a couple of tennis balls with that southwest of Waukeeta and right there on the Kansas-Oklahoma border. But the only tornado warning is the one down by Douglas and about southeast 89th Street, and that's why the tornado warning sirens are going off. Let's go back to Bob Moore Chopper 4 and John Welsh for an update.
Yeah, Mike, we're continuing to follow that that area of maybe the weak rotation as it kind of transitions towards the northeast. It's just going to be on the other side of the storm right there. That's going to be just the southwest side of Lake Draper. We're pretty much just about 4 or 5 miles north of Thunderbird here. Obviously a lot of heavy rain. We haven't seen any power flashes, or behind it you can kind of still see the lights on. So it doesn't appear that at this particular point there's not a tornado in there. However, lightning is very, very intense here. As you can see, the blue color would indicate that there's probably a decent amount of hail that's in there along with the heavy rain. But other than that, it appears that this storm has continued to weaken as it transitions to the northeast here, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that, John Welsh. So, Kevin and Linda, what we have right now, still a tornado warning, yes, on this storm right here. There may be a weak tornado inside of it, but it is not a large tornado like we had earlier. Our news crews, of course, are gathering information on other storms in the state, and we'll be right back with you.
Mike, we appreciate it. Linda and I have been watching your incredible coverage and your ability to forewarn those folks and the video that goes along with it. We've also had a lot of pictures coming in from our viewers.
Let's take a look at some of those right now, and we do appreciate those who have taken the time to send it in. This is Brooke Gillespie. This is Janet White. Again, most of these are southwest of Chickasha from a storm that happened about an hour or so ago. Grady Hospital, vantage point there. Now, around this area, we do know there has been some damage. There was some damage reported at the airport, but we're told that that happened last night during a storm. Also, we're told that the H.E. Bailey Turnpike has been closed from the Norman Spur to Chickasha. The twister did cross in that area. There have been semis overturned, debris on the highway. So we're continuing to watch that situation for you as you watch these pictures sent in from viewers.
Emily Sutton gave us that information as she was traveling up H.E. Bailey. Been closed, as Linda said. There's some hail that came down with all of this. Also, at the airport, they got all the passengers and everybody in the tunnel. Now they've just decided to bring everybody out, and they're kind of re-racking out there at the airport to get the visitors and the travelers on their way, but it may take a few hours out there. As we continue to look at some of these pictures, and again, a lot of them are from the Grady County area, and we appreciate you sending them in. We continue to check for damage in the Chickasha, the Norman area. Of course, you saw Mark Dillard in that storm a moment ago. Let's take a look at that video if we can again, because we were kind of worried about Dilly there, Linda, when here it is.
Mike, it's getting big. I got trees coming down on me and power flashes. I got to back out of here. I got trees coming down on me. Back it out, Mike, back it out.
And don't you know he had his foot on that pedal as he goes backwards there. You saw the power flash right there. This has been an unusual storm that we've tracked all afternoon because we didn't see so many power flashes, as we usually are able to track the tornadoes by seeing those from the area. You see some at the end of that road right there, but for the most part, as it moved through the Bridge Creek area and Chickasha, we didn't see so many of those. We do have reports that the Bridge Creek Fire Department has sustained damage. We're working to confirm that. The chopper is breaking off to find damage. He's starting in Norman by the Sooner Mall right now, so we'll go back to him live. And this is Mark Dillard from earlier coverage as he stayed right with that twister as it moved through the Norman area.
Mark was able to, he and his other fellow storm chaser, able to survive that. They had a little damage to the car, but they were able to chase the storm even further. We've been told that there were some cars flooded out in Moore at Southeast 19th and the railroad tracks there. Right. So some heavy water coming down. We have flash flood warnings out for the metro.
And you folks may have been hearing the sirens in Oklahoma County. Again, as Mike told you, because we've received so many calls here, that does not affect the Edmond area or North Oklahoma City. This is for a storm that they have on the ground in far South Oklahoma County, east of Moore, around the Del City, south of Del City, Midwest City area. So that's the area that we're watching right now for you. Of course, we'll break in live if anything happens to that area.
So you folks in that area, batten down the hatches. We have more pictures that are coming in from our viewers all over. And this is from Michelle getting a look at that funnel cloud. And it was so big at one time, the whole thing spinning. And that is a very definite sign of a tornado there. One of the more clearer images of the so-called wedge or tornado funnel that we're used to here in Oklahoma.
And thanks, Alex, for this picture, because that's what we saw a lot of this afternoon, just blue skies, usually indicative of a lot of hail and rain-wrapped tornadoes inside. Earlier tornadoes, Mike estimated, could be in the EF3, perhaps EF4 category. The one that we're following right now is perhaps a weak F0 tornado, according to Mike.
And we did have some damage at a hotel in Norman. We'll continue to get video of that. There's more video coming in from that viewer. And again, all these pictures coming in from the backside of these storms, most of them. And we appreciate you sending them in. And what we're glad we're not seeing right now is pictures of damage, and we hope that holds.
Not too much. Yeah. We do have some reports. But let's go back to Mike as he continues to follow that storm that we've been following. Mike, you've been on the air for almost 4 hours right now. Great job.
Well,